welcome to The Hole in the World, an actual play stream of in Monty Cook's Games' Invisible Sun RPG. I am Zach, otherwise known as Great Samino, your humble GM. With me always are my four cast members, starting on my left on screen, playing Gavriel.
Hey, it's Marcy, aka Experimental Madness, and like always, I'm playing Gavriel Glinsky, the ardent iconoclast apostate who hosts a choir.
And also playing our second great apostate, Twigg.
It's me. Hey, it's Hopper. I also known as Fail Deadly, and that's with a 3 instead of an E. Yes, and I am playing the flaming pile of confusion and indecision, also known as Twigg, the gallant apostate who eats knowledge. Nom, 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 nom,
nom. Playing our resident book mage, Vance, Kyrrie.
Hi guys, it's Marissa, also known as Critical Kitten, and I play Kyrielle von Hollingsworth, first assistant librarian of the Order of the Vance. She is an aromatic stoic who understands the words. She's the guardian to Zaleska's grimoire, the curator of King Nine's library, and at the moment is a student who's very nervous about taking a certain advancement test.
And finally playing our formidable weaver, Maurice.
Hello, I'm Bill, and I'm playing Maurice Webb, a stalwart empath of the Order of Weavers who turns tales into reality.
Excellent. Now, guys, we have a weird stream for you because it is Easter. I think what with our quarantines we're currently going through, time is really more of a suggestion than it is a formal social construct now. So while we are having the stream, forgot about the holiday. If you can join us, that's wonderful. We're going to be here for you anyway, because we care about you. We want you to be well, we want you to be healthy, and we want to entertain you. And so without further ado, we're going to recap the last session. So last we had our session here in Saturnine. We had our players making a number of disparate discoveries, each of them on their own, before three of them have kind of joined back together, while our fourth member also is kind of taking an important step in the advancement of her career. So in short order, we had Maurice wandering the Topiary district looking for a potential way to find Tristan Farn, who he discovered is actually probably maybe not actually guilty of the crime he allegedly committed, which was murder within broad daylight in public in the Topiary district. He was basically imprisoned for the murder of Choa Ganadel before a enterprising living sapling named Quercus liberated him from the jail cell of the Garant, basically the boss of the district. So Maurice has taken it upon himself to do this investigation. Meanwhile, in both the Undersling and later in the Topiary district, we found Gavriel wandering, basically trying to find out more information about Jaren the Devoured and about their shared history or whatsoever it might be, and she came to the unfortunate realization that there didn't seem to be any rhyme or reason for why she was chosen to be either introduced or potentially made aware of to Jaren. She ended up facing Marlon Acrony, almost coming to blows in the undersling bar called Cadavers.
So close.
So close. And yet just far enough. And so without being able to kind of act on that raging impulse, she meandered her way back to Topiary district with the intent of going back to the Hendasa safe house, but somehow being distracted along the way by a shining, glittering, moonlit cathedral-like opera house.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought
that I would get distracted by that?
And upon wandering in, felt the pressure of a malevolent presence that seemed to echo throughout the structure and almost toy with her. While she was doing that, our resident Vance and our second apostate Twigg and Kyrrie were still researching the rituals for bringing fictional characters into reality with in order to help Basil Fictorum, a fictional detective made real within the realm of Saturine. And most importantly, Kyrrie realized that it was about time for her to really kind of try to seek out further advancement as a Vance, and is looking to take her exam for her second degree in the Vancian order. So it's going to be pretty exciting as far as testing goes. And then finally, we had Twigg, who, realizing that he had learned a great deal, had made a friend in the bibliographical construct Literarum. They decided that it was time to put action towards everything after having a very weird standoffish conversation with Petrol, which was preceded by a really kind of uplifting and kind of enlightening conversation with Avelia, the daughter of the mobster King 9. Once all of that transpired, Twigg took it upon themselves to head out to the Topiary district with the hope of meeting back up with Maurice and Gavriel, which they did.
I was going to look for Therae.
Yeah.
Initially, and then find them. Instead, they were just in the bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you like this? I also totally thought you were going to say made a friend in the biblical sense, and I was like, I don't remember that.
I heard that too.
Oh, there were so many begats and begatting.
Yeah, there was way too many of those. Yeah, no, not quite that. We're not that Easter thematic this week.
I did realize what I was wearing. I forgot, but I live, I die, I live again. Witness
That's
me.
amazing.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see that Easter movie.
That you do, War Boy.
Just grab silver spray paint.
I've seeing so many new traditions come out.
New idea for the stream, everybody. We're just going to drop everything. We're going to have a watch party of Mad Max Fury Road.
Such
With Easter eggs.
Look at that.
I have silver spray
Did
paint.
that.
I could break out some matzah.
Excellent.
Now it's a
I mean, hey.
Well, before we do that, let's dive back into the actuality of Islay. Let's go back to Saturine. And we're going to start. Kyrrie. Let me actually turn on this music real quick. Yeah. Kyrrie, you are sitting down for your second degree test, and in front of you is a single sheet of paper. And as you kind of read through it, the first page being instructional in nature, very dry, talking about the merits and the importance of the administering of this test so that you can further prove your foundational understanding of Vancian principles. As you get to the end of the long passage denoting the importance of this, your proctor, who, as it turns out, is Alinea, your neighbor and one of the foremost member of the Vestad that you've encountered, looks expectantly over what look to be about 20 to 30 other students within the same room. And not only that, at the very end of your passage that you've read, it single sentence says, "Please await the signal from your proctor before beginning the exam." And Alinea's kind of looking over you, kind of making sure. She almost kind of lingers her gaze a little bit longer on you than on anybody else. And I think, tell me a little bit about how you have prepared yourself for this exam.
Sure. Yeah. So the night before the exam, Kyrrie spent it in the place that she feels most comfortable on campus, which is her library. Not only is this generally considered to be a good place to study, but it's her home. It's where she can have her expertise known. It's where she feels comfortable. You know, I imagine she would sit in her reading corner, which is a very secluded, quiet space in the library that very few patrons have access to. Red velvet sort of cushioning, like a window seat right next to some really tall windows, surrounded by stacks and piles of books. And it's here that she really kind of almost not goes into a trance, but something like that, where she just gets into this productivity mindset where she's going through the tenets of Vancian magic, reiterating to herself why she's here, why she values what she does, and actually trying to commune with magic, being that Vances believe magic to be a living force. She's trying to tap into that so that it serves her well on the day of her exam.
Absolutely, and I think that it's in this kind of state of reverie and kind of reverence for this practice is when you hear Alinea say, "All right, postulants, you may begin your next exam." And what ends up happening first is the page in front of you, the ink shifts and scrambles and forms a full new page, and on to the right of you appears a plain number 2 pencil, very just kind of effective, efficient, one which you know from prior experience will always stay sharp no matter how much you use it. And so with that in mind, I am going to, if OBS will let me, show you what it is that you actually see momentarily. Okay, so I'll take us out of studio mode. So, you very first part of this are several small short answer questions referring to the nature of Vancian spellcraft. There are 3 questions, not very significant in length. The first of which says, under the color of what sun is the perilous leap of the desperate the most effective? Describe a circumstance in which you might use it.
Perilous leap of the desperate, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And
I'm having violent flashbacks to my AP tests.
and
just for clarity, are these for the audience? Are these short answer questions or are these multiple choice questions?
These are short answer questions.
Okay, because when I was a test taker, I always like multiple choice test questions. You can always kind of strategize about if you're running out of time, but short answer, if you don't know it, you just don't know it.
Exactly. So. And I will say, for the sake of our actual playing, I feel like you would know this well enough that you may play this open book if you'd like.
I'm gonna try and do it. You know what? I love studying things and being like Hermione in most types and parts of life. So okay, yes, I'm going to take the test as it is. The question was, what color is the spell?
Under the color of what sun is the perilous leap of the desperate the most effective, and describe a circumstance in which you might use it. So in this case, it would be probably the color, yeah.
Yeah. So the color of this spell is green. And Kyrrie is going to have a moment where she thinks back to using the perilous leap of the desperate, where they were standing on the rooftop of King Nine's whole palace, and they were needing to get down without people seeing them or without triggering any of alarms, and get back to their rooms before everyone knew that they were out of bed and slinking about in the night. And so she smiles a little bit, just kind of has her mouth quirk up slightly, and in fact writes that down on the line.
Oh wow, okay. Excellent. Then the second question. A journeyman librarian has cloaked a reference tome with illusion magic. What spell would you use to best determine its location?
Okay. What spell would you best use to determine its location?
And now I need to actually pull up the information I used for this.
No, please.
Uh-huh.
So this is to locate it in space, right?
Yeah, and it's a cloaked thing.
Okay.
And if you are struggling with this, you may also roll to come up with the answer. I'm going to say for all intents and purposes for this test, the challenge rating is going to be a 5, and you can probably use benefits for it.
Okay, sure. I think on this one I'll just roll to keep things going. She gets +1 to searching and to magical knowledge. So I guess she's sort of searching for magical knowledge in this case, in her brain.
Yeah, it's formalized knowledge, so it definitely counts. So your venture is going to be your venture's 2. Your challenge is now reduced to 3.
All right, here we go. And perfect, it's a 4.
Okay, excellent. So the spell you're thinking of is the Eyes of the Overworld.
Yeah.
For this round, I clearly see things that are invisible or obscured. And so you make sure to transcribe that as it kind of occurs to you. Oh, I know. I haven't prepared this spell. I haven't learned it, but I know of its existence. The next question is, in what circumstances is it best not to cast Zweil's profuse admiration on a Vance of higher degree?
If it's Kyrrie laughs a little at this one too, because she remembers a time where she, perhaps very, very early in her time as a Vance, where she had used this spell in an unwise circumstance, and that is when you don't actually have it. You're not actually feeling genuine admiration, because it will not work. And not only that, but the Vance who you cast it upon will know that you are not expressing genuine admiration, which makes things all the worse. So I imagine early in Kyrrie's time as a Vance, she had thought, oh, I can just make this older Vance think that I know who they are, and that they'll be impressed that I'm impressed with them. And it completely backfired on her.
Yeah, absolutely. And you, remembering this, you write a very kind of short transcription of that. And as you write it down, there appears in the upper right corner of your desktop a small envelope. And it says in your next question on the first page of paper, it says, please submit within the included envelope an instance of one of your memorized spells, making sure to release the spell as you cast it. Your form will be judged based on spellbinding technique and etiquette. And you see emblazoned on the kind of lip of the envelope, or the kind of lip of it, a set of eyes that are like, it's not like actual organic eyes. They just seem to be very calligraphically well-designed eyes looking out at you as if in judgment. So what do you do?
I am going to submit Sabuchin's 1000th Word, which, as some may recall, is the spell that Kyrrie first used to talk to Zaleska's grimoire, and that's led her on a series of very, very ridiculous, crazy, zany, but important adventures, both in terms of what she's trying to do and also in terms of herself. So Kyrrie feels it's fitting to submit this as her kind of finely crafted artisanal piece of spellwork, upon which she'll be judged for the next level. So for those who don't know, Sabuchin's 1000th Word is a level 4 spell. With a single word, I grant an inanimate object the power of speech. It speaks with the language of the Vizsla. I can speak with it, but it is not automatically predisposed to help or hinder me. Instead, my past and current treatment of the object affects its reaction to me. And as Kyrrie, prepares and casts this spell with utmost precision, she just very lightly in her pocket brushes her fingers along the spine of Zaleska's grimoire, and kind of reminds herself of the connection that she feels to that spell and to the grimoire.
Excellent. And so I would like you to roll straight.
Okay.
What I want you to do is we're going to augment it with a level 4. So the 4 is your venture. You may also upcast it with sorcery if you'd like.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
And add a bene, so it's now 5. And just tell me what you roll on the die.
All right. 7 on the die.
Excellent. Okay, so you cast a level 12. Essentially, this endeavor would affect a level 12 creature. And as you focus on the envelope, the eyes kind of half lid and almost sleepily look up at you, having been in kind of watchful judgment in these calligraphic designs. And more importantly, a mouth appears below the lip of the envelope where you would seal it. And it looks up at you and says, "Oh, so how do you think you're doing?"
Kyrrie, who's not expecting this, sort of looks at the paper and goes, "Well, I never like to assess myself before the test is done. That's for after the test is done." Feeling a little nervous still, but I'm confident in what I've done so far.
Its eyes kind of flick down to the short answer portion that's below on the first half of the sheet of paper. It says, "You seem confident. Well, it's quite a pleasure to have this sort of awareness. Not many Vances of your degree choose this spell to cast."
I've never actually spoken to a test paper before, so you will be the first I've ever encountered. It's an honor to make your acquaintance.
And it kind of thinks for a moment. "The feeling is mutual?" With a question mark at the end. And as if in satisfaction, you hear as the envelope absorbs the spell and seals, and as though it's filled with a packet or sheaf of papers. You notice also, as you kind of look around, nobody is able to hear any of the other test takers. There seems to be kind of this bubble of silence surrounding you, but you do catch Alinia's gaze as she kind of looks at you, having kind of watched your form, and she makes a small note on a clipboard with a marking pencil and what appears to be a sheaf of paper, and she nods in your direction, and the sheet in front of you changes into what is very clearly an essay portion, and the question that it asks is essentially and it's kind of a little bit touchy-feely, kind of non-formal for a Vancian exam, because the very first thing it asks you is, tell us in no more than 500 words the personal meaning of your studies in the Order of the Vance thus far, and what you hope to accomplish.
Like a mission statement.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see that there are additional essays, and there are a couple of extra sections behind it, but this one page is blank with a single question on it.
Okay. Is this the only essay question I see on the exam so far?
This is the first, and it's kind of basically changing as you go along, and you get the idea that you could probably, if you move your eyes down to the bottom of the page, you might be able to flip it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm gonna look and see what the next, as far as I can see, what the other essay questions are in order to plan my time across the test. I want to know how many essay questions there are so that I don't accidentally miss a couple.
Yeah, absolutely. And the next question that comes up is describe and basically you look to the bottom and you see the page kind of where it says next page printed in very small type, as well as the page number of the exam. It seems to kind of rearrange the ink again, and this time the essay example is what it is of just a open-ended question. Describe a novel practicum idea for a spell of your own devising, making sure to include relevant magical diagrams and formulae. And with a brief description of 250 words or less.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
And that seems to be the end of the test?
There are more, but these are the two that kind of strike you as probably the most important.
Okay. I think Kyrrie starts with the first essay question. Describe in your own words the personal meaning that that studying Vancian magic has to you, and what you intend to do with the course of your study. And she writes, Vancian magic has always been about a commune with something greater than ourselves, and that is a force we don't understand. It is a contract, yes, but it is also a relationship, and it's a relationship that deserves respect, and that if you respect it, it respects you. This is how I have felt upon communing with every spell that I have cast, and this is how I have earned the trust of artifacts like Celeste's Grimoire. What you put into the study of the Vancian magic is what you get out of it personally. And I have found in studying Vancian magic as I have, that the fulfillment comes not from just learning for its own sake, but learning to better the world and learning to try to broaden your own horizons so that you can affect positive change in not only, wider Saturnine, but within all of the actuality. And so my reason for continuing my Vancian studies is to try to connect more magic with more Vizsla. And being a part of that as someone who's a theoretical, technical student is why I do what I do. I want to bring magic to people, magic that doesn't yet have a language to speak insofar as we understand language. But that's my hope. I want to devise a spell or I want to research a type of magic that will allow magic to speak to Vizsla using words of its own choosing without our having to channel anything to do so. I want magic to be a part of us, not just something that occasionally inhabits us.
And you kind of finish this, and again, you're kind of looking up around you, and you can tell that the other postulants are struggling. You can already see, I believe, Gilles de Pompadour is in one far corner, and he has his head in his hand, and he's kind of running his hands through his hair, kind of like almost like a stress tick. And again, you see Alinea kind of observing. But it is with this kind of signature opening statement that you begin the test. And we're going to cut there, but before we do, can we give a hand to Marissa? That was great.
The test is live on air.
Yeah.
It's like my nightmare.
I mean, hey guys, I'm like that weird person that loves studying for tests and taking them. So.
AKA you read your IRL Hermione Granger confirmed.
All right, so we're gonna change the music. We're gonna go back to our main screen, and then what we're gonna do is let me change. Okay, I think I've got the right. Yeah. All right. 1 second. Excellent. So we return to our Vizsla, who are in the middle of Garver's. Garver's is very kind of like lightly busy for a lunch day. We kind of time jump back to the previous day. And yeah, Twigg, you have arrived at Garver's, and you seem to have arrived at a point of significance in a conversation between Gavriel and Maurice. And Gavriel looks up at you, I think almost, and then kind of gestures emphatically at Maurice. What are you guys doing?
Well, Duncan is pawing at your knees, and I look over at Gav and give probably like the first big broad smile that she's seen him give in at least a week, and he walks over to Twigg and puts his arm around them and says, "It's really good to see you."
Them, but yes.
I got that right.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Shit, I just can't hear. Hashtag chainsaws. We're in production always, guys. Twig's just like, what? I'm just like, and it like is as Maurice is putting his arm around them, is bending down to pet Duncan and just kind of like so weirdly half stooped, enthusiastically petting Duncan. And is just gonna stand up and just goes like, were you guys waiting for me? That's so creepy.
How did you know that we were here?
And Maurice is just like grabbing an empty chair and pulling it up, and it's just like, this is great.
Twig's gonna take a moment and stop and just give a little I don't actually know what the Boy Scout salute is, so every time I do it, it's a bad Boy Scout salute.
I think it's like this, right? Yeah.
It's like 2 finger. Is it 3 fingers?
Yeah, it's 3 fingers. Pardon me.
Okay, yeah. So it just does like a kind of little boop up at the ceiling, just acknowledging Garver, and we'll meander on over. I was trying to think of the proper verb there.
Well played. Yes.
Waddle kept trying to come out, and I was like, Twig doesn't waddle.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
How are you? Wait, you're saying you weren't waiting for me?
Well, I think in a way we were.
No.
Right? I mean, but you just finished saying there are no coincidences.
I didn't mean this literally.
That's. I'm deeply uncomfortable with this.
Wait. If you're not here for us, then why were you here?
I was hoping to find a friend. Therae?
I just had lunch with her yesterday.
Excuse me?
Waiter, I'm gonna need something stronger.
Yeah, an Elderbrin comes by and what were you drinking before?
You know
Probably
Therae?
Yeah.
I mean, only casually. I'm here solving a case, I guess.
Lays down a dark beer in front of you.
And Therae had information that I needed. I don't think she liked me very much. How do you know Therae?
Supposed to work for her.
Wait. I thought you worked for King 9.
It's a contract gig.
Okay. What work were you going to do for Therae?
Twig just kind of gestures around, just like, I got a little bit of a green thumb.
Then I guess you're pretty well suited to all this. I was just filling in Gav as to what I was doing here, and Maurice proceeds to tell Twig all the details of the of Tristan and the bookstore. And
do you mention Quercus?
Yeah. I mentioned everything that happened in the park.
So Zach, this is a DM question because I don't remember our thing well enough, and so a little bit of quick science lesson, kiddos. Quercus is the Latin for the family. It's the oak. It's the oak family. That's what happens when you play. Yeah, tree and D, baby. I am my IRL job. I'm a professional arborist. Trees are my jam. Is this the Quercus I know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here's the thing: is I don't think at the end of the side scene that you knew about Quercus. They had she had not introduced herself to
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So, all right, Quercus means nothing to me other than I'm assuming it's an oak, just because. Otherwise, why would you?
Yeah. So I think it was like a sapling that was helping Tristan. Anyway, Tristan's hiding there. What slippery Jack is around.
Slippery Jack.
Oh yeah. He, led me to him for basically a promise. So if we're worried about Tristan, which I don't know why you would be.
Saying, in general, I wouldn't trust anybody named Slippery Jack.
Seconded.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a little on the nose.
Yeah, that's like saying Stabby McStabface. Like, I wonder what he does.
Yeah. So my plan was to go to the bookstore and find Ella Ganedel and see if I could figure out something out. The whole point was that I thought I was on this mission by myself, and then Gav met a ghost.
Well, it was a while ago.
A ghost like that one dude that we met.
And I think Gav will explain, just like she did to Maurice when she found her way back from Shadow, how she ran into this ghost, the mother of Tristan, who was very concerned about him.
So, I guess I want to say I'm sorry. I think I was too hasty in leaving. I think, if anything, this mission that I started on my own has only proven that we are connected in so many different ways, and we're stronger together. I was about to have Gav join me at the bookstore, and if it's not too much to ask, I'd really appreciate if you could come with me, Twigg.
Yeah, sure.
But you had to meet your friend, though.
I was just meandering in. I don't really do plans so much.
Where's Kyrrie?
Twigg definitely, and Twigg waves, flags down one of the Elderbrin, and it's just like snags a beer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Kyrrie, she said something about going back to the campus. I think test or something.
Okay.
I'm not really clear on their whole thing, but something testy.
Okay. And you were just looking for work. Okay. Well, I got a job for you.
Cool. How are you? And Twigg just kind of like pokes Maurice like right in the tummy. Kind of gently, but boop.
I was not worried about us, and then I was super worried again because I didn't think the shadow magic was working, but maybe, I don't know. I think I'm better now.
One thing you do notice, Twigg, about Maurice that is completely different from the last time you saw him. Maurice is dressed in what looks to be a bright green suit with very artfully woven together reeds.
And a nice flower in the breast pocket.
So you're like wearing a rattan suit? I didn't
rattan.
know that was
Do I have to Google that?
Yeah, Google it, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
RATAN.
TTAN.
TTAN suit. Rattan chair.
We're all gonna learn something.
Hell yes. That's 100% what this looks like. But green.
Why don't you describe it?
Please describe it.
It's wickery.
Oh, good.
It's wickery.
It's a wicker uses
like a woven bamboo kind of thing.
Wicker uses like a specific round small diameter thing. Rattan uses a broader strips.
It looks sick.
Like you might have actually seen hats made in that style.
Ooh,
rattan hat.
Yeah. Anyways,
man, hell yeah. So yeah, shoulder to toe in this suit, just looking dapper as hell. extremely tailored and cut perfectly.
I'm so here for this enthusiasm. I love it.
So Twigg's just like, well, I was gonna grab something to eat here, but if we're going to a bookstore, that's fine.
Let's eat.
I love it. Yeah. So, do you guys?
Who's going to pay for the books? Does it matter?
I mean,
I suppose not.
So subjective.
Maybe wait till after I ask questions.
I mean, sure. And Twigg pulls a pastry out of their pocket. Do you want bear claw?
I'll take a fresh one.
I guess they're like a day old. Zach, I have a really important question for you. This is super, super in-depth, mechanical, vital to this game.
I have a very important answer for you. What's up?
So plentiful pockets. Do you think those keep my pastries from getting stale or nah?
You know what? Why don't we
I think
roll
it depends
for
on the dough, technically.
How the dough proves in a little pocket dimension.
Are we gonna get into Vizsla Great British Baking Show? Because I'm here for it. If we do.
Stop
Let's
the show.
Let's abandon this plot that Zach has worked really hard on.
High or low?
High.
It's a little stale. I won't lie. It's a little stale.
Just give it a little crinkle, and it's just like, I'm still gonna offer it to Maurice. Like Twigg is still just like, yeah, here. Hands it to Maurice and then pulls out another this is probably like, I don't know, some sort of berry jelly filled croissant.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all right. And then I think one of the Elderbrin kind of drops by the table, says, we discourage outside food.
Oh, it's okay. I'm gonna order here anyways. I'm rather peckish.
And Maurice says, terribly sorry, and then just without breaking eye contact, hands it directly to Duncan.
The puppy just snarfs it up. So you guys have a pretty quick lunch. You guys do not see Therae at the time, but at the same time, it's a little bit on the earlier side. So you probably, she could kind of like whip around after some more work or something along those lines. But it just depends if you want to wait for her, or would you like to kind of pay the bill and go check out the bookstore?
Twigg is just like, I've been derailed. Twigg was very much like, oh, that's the last place I saw her. Might as well check there.
Yeah.
This was again, plans. Who needs them?
Excellent. Okay. So I think that, as you, sorry, I was distracted. So you are ending lunch then. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I do want to know what my ordering options are, Zach.
Oh, buddy. Okay, hold on. I'm going to have to pull up that menu real quick.
And the menu's gone.
No! So hold on. Bear with me, guys. We have in our active games.
I like I like making my GMs make up food. It's delightful.
You're just gonna make me hungry.
All right, so we got the prop crafting kit. Now what? So this is actually really interesting in that the Monty Cook Games, in their infinite wisdom, gave everybody the means to make Invisible Sun props. They gave you fonts that you can use. There's prop crafting kit, hashtag Monty Cook Games, hashtag the Invisible Sun RPG, the best ever, etc., etc. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to find the menu for Garver's Cafe because it actually exists.
Amazing.
All right.
Way to promo.
I love this.
All right, so let's go back. I think that's supplements. No. The question is, where did Zach put everything? Oh, here it is.
You mean you didn't have it prepared?
God, you guys are gonna kill me.
Twigg's just given Kyrrie all the extra time to cram for the next test answer.
Yeah. This is okay.
Yes.
So no, this is Garver's Cafe welcomes you. Wholesome food at fair prices. There is for lunch sugar cured ham sandwich on silver wheat bread. There is clam chowder and rosemary bread. There is essence of beef soup and potato crisps, Talisberry salad, and a fresh picked Aralis. In parentheses, still singing. There's a tomato salad, and then there's the red special, death bean chili and soda bread.
What is the red special?
The red
Death bean chili and soda bread.
and that one costs 70 glass orbs.
Oh, well, I'm poor, so no. What's the cheapest thing on the menu?
Gav would immediately be like, get whatever you want, and she like hoists a stack of crystal orbs in her other hand.
You sure?
Don't ask, long story. I'm sure it's enough to cover whatever you're going to eat here.
Challenge
Not
accepted.
not a challenge.
Challenge accepted. Twigg immediately orders the red special.
Tries to be nice.
Yeah, so you guys partake of the food, and the death bean chili is true to its name, incredibly spicy. It is delicious, but at the same time, you have to like take a break. You actually have to order a glass of milk to go with the beer. And it's very spicy, but it's also very filling and very like the meat is just like perfect texture. It just like it like the texture is just very nice and chewy, and yeah, you have a pretty great lunch between all of you. And I think
I'd say Maurice will take the opportunity to say, so give me a short version of that long story. Where'd you?
I hit a guy very, very good, and they paid me for it.
Where? Not the undersling.
Sound. It would not be the undersling.
No, I did this to myself. I let you go, and I'm just glad that you came away with your life and a bag of money. You could have done a lot worse.
Yeah, and Marlon almost died, but
Marlon.
I'm pretty sure Gav already told you about
Oh, did this happen?
Yeah.
It's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's fair. I was checking my notes to make sure that very same thing.
So now Twigg knows, so now we're all caught up.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you didn't know before, and I'm wrong about that, Gav
Now
will
we know.
explain.
Oh,
and
yeah,
knowing
that guy's
is
a
half the
dick.
battle.
Called it. I called it. That dude, just fuck that guy in particular.
Yep.
Brick to the face.
Brick to the face.
To the face. Oh shit! I gotta grab Ricky. Hang on.
Oh no! Oh, by the way, we've made an unofficial mascot, guys. We actually have a half brick.
Yay!
Yeah. So you guys have these revelations and relations to the information. Yeah, you managed to have this very filling lunch. You guys are headed to the bookstore next?
Yep.
Very cool. Okay, so before we do that and kind of continue, I am going to cut back to Kyrrie real quick. So Kyrrie, you've gotten to the end of the exam. It's like any of the other exams that you may be familiar with from the Gray. There are, if this is like this, then what is this? Kind of like that SAT question where it's like, basically if this formula means this, what does this mean in relation to this word? I always forget what they call them, like similarities or something.
Is it syllogism or am I making that up?
No, it's like an analogy, but not.
Yeah. I'm gonna give
A, then B.
I'm gonna trigger.
If A is to B and B is to C. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm gonna trigger all y'all's academic PTSD.
Oh, it is analogy. Okay.
Yeah. So there's an analogies section. There's a second short answer, but it deals primarily in formulae. With that 7, you I think with the 7 that you rolled for your knowledge, or the high number you rolled for your knowledge, I think you just breeze through the rest of the exam. You actually turn it into a linea about 10 minutes early. And she says, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, did you want me to answer the other essay question?
You
The
may.
last one?
You may certainly do that if you like. We'll kind of keep this one on the brief side, though.
Yeah. So Kyrrie was counting her words on that last essay question, which was about describing a novel practicum idea for a spell of your own. And she was thinking about, her practicum where she casts Zamra's familiar speech, and her mission statement where it was surprisingly easy for her to articulate her connection to Vancian magic, and its roots in the desire to learn to communicate with magic more intimately, with that independent intelligence of magic, to figure out its own language, because after all, language and linguistics, of which she studies, are about communication. She thinks back to the grey of 1930s London, where she studied linguistics as well. Long, dusty bookshelves in the basement of King's College, midnight research by candlelight, long nights, eyes blurring with sleep, a familiar presence by her side. No, she won't think of that now. She decides on a variation of Zamra's familiar speech, which is to be able to communicate specifically with Zaleska's grimoire on demand without having to communicate, without having to cast a spell. Could she figure out the language of one specific artifact like that, such that she doesn't have to touch magic to be able to speak with him or her or it, however it may choose to define itself? Could she just speak to Zaleska's grimoire as though it were any other creature that she was speaking to? And so she writes this down as the type of spell that she wants to try to develop.
Absolutely. And I think part of this also, I think subconsciously, there's a little inspiration from your encounter with the mysterious Esthane, who was the one who fished the bullet out of Twigg during the kind of the first arc during the Conclave of Yov. And one of the things that you remember is him being able to talk to objects and kind of decipher what they want. And I think it kind of like acts as a small little ping of inspiration at the back of your brain. And so I think the next thing that happens is you turn in your exam, you have this novel idea. Alinea kind of like, I think, scans it a little bit very quickly before putting it into a folder. You notice that the other exam, there are two folders, one of which there were other kind of studious Visley that also advances that completed the test early. And you see as one person walks up, hands her his test, and you see her put yours into one folder and his into another. And she says to you, Kyrrie, I'm so glad to see you. And seems you're doing well.
I think so. Now that I've got my exam over, I might be thinking about it long into the night in case there are answers that I may have missed, but I'm pleased to have it over.
Well, I can't talk for long here, but before you do that, the Supreme Magus would like to see you.
Oh. Kyrrie is a little taken aback. She didn't necessarily prepare to be confronted with the Supreme Magus, but she holds her head high. Absolutely. Where shall I meet her?
You'll be going to the top floor of the Orod Memorial Lecture Hall. Yadavastra keeps her office there. Their office there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alinea.
Absolutely. I would say make haste. The Supreme Magus does not tend to waste their time.
Of course. So Kyrrie, of course, is, just getting over the nerves of having taken a test, and now suddenly is going to be speaking to the Grand Magus again.
Yeah.
So she goes there directly.
Absolutely. And I think, you go head to the Orod Memorial Lecture Hall. Once again, empty of the massive demonstrations that Jaro gave of Jaro's fictive form, without all of the receptive area. You see a number of maguses and cantrals and higher ranked vances kind of milling around, performing what look to be administrative duties. But not only that, you kind of find the stairwell that you remember traversing and finding a means of laying Twigg down to have them examined. And you kind of breeze past that spot as you make your way to the fifth top floor of this massive facility. And it is very easy to find the office as soon as you reach the fifth floor. It is very well appointed in sturdy oak, rich mahoganies with very deepened hues of chocolates and warm browns. There are a number of abstract sculptures in wood that seem to have pieces that float above the bodies of their pieces. Everything is probably a little bit of what you dreamed it might be like to be the Supreme Magus. It is not far from what you potentially imagined. You know, in spite of your experience in the Gray and the experience of that lie, you still have the imagination to kind of see one-to-one with like this Supreme Magus's appointments and furnishings. And there is a reception area at down the end of a long hallway. Once again, this desk is also very well appointed. Rich woods, probably a rosewood. And there is a fresh smell throughout, as though a number of lilies were kind of just freshly placed in pots throughout the hall.
Have I ever been here before? Have I ever spoken one-on-one to the Supreme Magus?
No. The last time you were in this facility, you were being interrogated by the Telmeric Council.
And that was the only time I've ever spoken to the Supreme Magus directly.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you didn't really even speak to them. Right. They actually had the other Grand Maguses and members of the Telmeric Council asking you questions and then relating to them. The fact the last time you saw the Supreme Magus say anything, it was a gasp when Twigg mentioned the hole in the world.
So I walk in, and you say there was a reception desk?
Yes.
All right, I'll walk up to that and announce myself. Kyrrie von Hollingsworth, to see the Grand Magus.
And shimmering in front of you into materialization is a very studiously appointed figure. It is hard for you to tell whether or not this person is a thought form by virtue of how much verisimilitude this person has with an actual Vizsla. And this very well-appointed young woman looks up to you and says, "Very well. She will see you forthwith. Please enter the door and close it behind you."
Thank you.
And there are these two large, almost French-style glass doors, fogged over and translucent to from the outside.
Kyrie's going to approach the door and briefly, just very, very briefly, crack one of the doors so she can look in right before she walks in and announces herself. What do I see?
You see a slight figure, bald head. You recognize them instantly. This is very much Yadavastra. They are poring over what appear to be a number of tomes, probably potentially grimoire, other kind of scrolls of magic, and kind of making gestures in the air, kind of almost sifting through what appear to be a number of words that appear straight in front of them. And as soon as you crack the door, as without looking up from what they're doing, the Supreme Yadavastra looks up and says, "Yes, please enter."
Kyrrie will walk in and head inclined downwards in a gesture of respect. Grand Magus, Alinea sent word that you wish to see me after my exam.
And I appreciate your punctuality. And they basically fold their hands together like this and the sheer gesture lets all the information rest and come to float down on the surface of the desk in front of them. And this is an incredibly well appointed office. There are tomes on either side that make up entire shelves, make up the walls. There appears to be, you remember seeing a pot, basically a bonsai tree with a waterfall flowing over Alinia's kind of desk appointments. They have a massive waterfall behind the desk that just makes it's kind of like this roaring waterfall, but it makes the burbling sounds of a small brook. It seems to be something like probably some academic at some point said, I find the sound of flowing water helps me focus. And it seems like Yadavastra has done this to the nth degree, because they can.
Shows you the scope of their magical ability.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Kyrrie's going to look at the shelf of books that's directly behind the Grand Magus, and she's going to spot a familiar tome, and she's going to say, oh, is that a copy of Fludio's Bibliography and Bibliomancy? It looks like it might be a first edition.
And they look over and say, good eye, but enough pleasantries. And they point to a chair in front of you that scoots out and says, sit.
Kyrrie does.
And you notice that the chair that Yadavastra is in is large and silver, with all these interesting kind of arrays of organic shapes. And they look at you and say, so since the incident during the Conclave of Yov, I've been watching your career with great interest.
That's a huge compliment, Supreme Magus. I'm honored to hear you say that.
Yes.
And what have you found?
I have found reason to be somewhat concerned, but yet somewhat relieved that my my instincts proved me right.
In what way?
The other members of the council advised me to keep you here.
Indeed.
Yes, with the exception of Jaro, a noted dissent. The other members of the Telemoric Council felt that Zaleska's grimoire was too great of an asset to let wander.
And if I may ask, what was your logic for overruling?
Call it a hunch.
Hunch?
I don't often get them, but when I do, it feels important to act on them, and I think that your friend may have shocked me out of my complacency, as it were.
If it's not overreaching, Grand Magus, what exactly did happen between you and Twigg in that moment? What was it that he said that made you slightly unnerved? You looked unnerved, and I'm not used to seeing anyone on the Telemeric court shaken in quite that way.
Well, they said to me something I've long suspected, that there is a hole in the world.
And what does that mean?
Well, I'm having some difficulty putting my finger on it. It's been something at the tip of my mind for a number of years now. There is something wrong in Indigo.
Is this a feeling as well?
It is a feeling that I have been struggling to empirically prove. It's something that I have done a great deal of traveling as a Vance, as you are probably, no doubt, suspect. I have traveled to many suns. I have traveled to them by means of spell. I have been traveling to them by means of sunship and secret passage. I have visited the Nightside. And while not liking what I found there, I was still able to find my way back here to Indigo. And every time I moved into a new sun, I encountered a warden, a guardian, someone who wanted something, or something that wanted essentially a boon or a sacrifice or some obeisance. But I've never found one for Indigo. I've never had that be the case. I have broached this with other council members, some of whom have a theory that our trials begin in Indigo for this unknown warden when we are born, when we are brought into the actuality. But it doesn't sit right with me. I don't know where the Indigo warden might be. And that absence feels oppressive. It is something that I had only thought to call a hole. And it was as though your friend, they plucked the notion straight out of my head.
What does Kyrrie know about wardens? What has she read about the history or theories around the idea of a warden of the Indigo Sun or a missing warden?
You would not have heard anything about an Indigo Sun warden, but you would have heard a great deal about wardens in general. That every time you enter into a new kind of facet of the actuality, a new sun, you must encounter the warden. That is actually when you guys met Mara, the reclining god, the warden of the blue sun, who has set you on this kind of quest to find Basil. In addition to Basil, like as almost supplementary to Basil's own request.
And presumably the only other scholarship about like identifying that there would be an Indigo warden that could be missing would be what the Grand Magus alluded to, with the fact that it might be because you're born into Indigo, that is your sort of trial, as opposed to having so no one's really posited what the Grand Magus has just shared with me before.
Exactly.
Well, Grand Magus, I must say I haven't read anything like what you're describing, but it sounds plausible to me.
Well, unfortunately, we don't live in the realm of what's plausible. We must find what is concrete.
That is true.
And it is a concrete fact that where before this grimoire had no guardian and no one save Zaleska that it spoke to, it felt the need to speak to you. And that is the second part of what swayed my decision. And knowing that, it's important now that you know the depths of this burden that you carry. Listening to Alinea, I am somewhat concerned, because it seems you have brokered, while no doubt a fruitful deal with one King 9, it could very much lead to a more dangerous arrangement.
I know, Grand Magus, the risk. I'm sorry to interrupt. I didn't mean to cut you off, but...
Go on.
I took on this risk knowing that King 9 was dangerous. And I know the dangers of being overconfident. But it seemed to me that the benefit to our institution to research more widely would be so much greater than a small sacrifice that I alone could make. I did not factor Zaleska's grimoire into the negotiations, but it is prudent now that you raise it. I want to be careful that King 9 not try to leverage that, because Zaleska's grimoire does not belong to me, does not belong to the Vance. She or it or he, however they wish to determine themselves, it's its own entity. And that's why I wish to learn to speak with the grimoire in its own language.
Very well. I respect that. And I will caution you that my dealings with King Nine, or my awareness of him, is limited. But he is much like my own antagonist in King Solemn. They find a great deal in common. They seem to think that they own all information. King Nine, Count Solemn, of course. But I just wanted to take this time to make you aware of these things, and to also let you know that as a Vance, it is important that your advancement coincide with these concerns, that so that you are thus better armed going forward. Consider this your congratulations upon reaching the 2nd degree of the Order of the Vance. If you wish a formal ceremony, we can so do and arrange that, but I wanted you to hear it from myself.
I don't know what to say, except thank you.
Good. Now, I must attend to some other business, but I'll see you out if you prefer.
Absolutely. Grand Magus.
Yes. Supreme Magus, my dear.
Supreme Magus. I'm sorry, I did not mean to downgrade you. Is there anything that you would like me to do while I'm out in the world?
Grow stronger. Become more effective. Pursue the truth of this spellcraft. Know their wants, their needs, as you clothe them you clothe yourself in them. Know what it means to find friendship in spellcraft. It will serve you all of your life.
As it, I'm sure, has served you.
No doubt. Now come. And they rise from the table, but they don't leave the chair, as this silver chair seems to have a number of feet under it. 4 actual kind of automatic legs, autonomous, as though from kind of these almost grieved legs, as though they're, from a knight's suit of mail, walk over around the desk and begin walking you out of the office.
I follow.
And they see you to the end of the corridor and say, remember what I said. If you have any doubts or any questions, I'm sure that Alinea will be of great service to you. Occasionally I may come to check on your progress. Just be aware of the traps throughout the actuality. I've encountered many of them, and I would be remiss in not helping those in our order to avoid them the first time around.
I appreciate that, Yadavastra. Thank you for your guidance and your mentorship.
May the invisible sun shine on you.
And on you.
And they close the door behind you, and you hear the sound of the legs walking them back to their office. And we're gonna, actually guys, I think it's 6 p.m. We're gonna take a 10-minute break there. So everybody who's still watching with us and in chat, we're gonna be back at 6:10. Thanks so much for spending your holiday with us. We will see you guys soon. Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to The Hole in the World, an actual play of the RPG The Invisible Sun by Monty Cook Games. Once again, I am joined by my lovely cast for the second part of the game today, where we have had a couple of really interesting things happen. One of the major things we've been working towards for a while is Kyrrie is now 2nd degree Vance. So yay! Welcome to the advancement of the order. So the next thing I want us to do, though, is we would like to go back to what the other three Vizsla were doing, which was exploring the Topiary district, having food at Garver's Cafe, and then leaving in order to pursue their investigation of the criminal doings of Tristan Farn, alleged or otherwise. So you guys have left the cafe after snacking on Death Bean Chili and sundry other stuff, which I will say that Gavriel has kindly paid for. Gavriel, go ahead and mark off, I'm going to say 12 crystal orbs, just because Death Bean Chili is about 7. So
what's that code? Like, I have them in crystal.
So mark off 7 crystal orbs. That was
awesome.
Or no, 12 crystal orbs total for everybody. If you're treating everybody, it'll be 12.
Okay.
So,
Zach, real quick, I would like to take and correct me if I'm wrong, because my brain is full of 20 different systems. I have a 30-minute rest to refresh a pool.
Yeah, you can do, I think it's a 10-minute rest.
I'm going to do one of those while I'm eating red Death Bean Chili.
Yeah, please do. So yeah, refresh one of your pools.
Oh, I want to do that too.
Yeah, y'all, if you're taking
I
rest.
had a nice long nap. I'm good.
It bumps me back to full pools. I'm refreshing my sorcery because I had to cast Psychic Missive like 7 times.
Fantastic. I love it. Okay. Yeah, so you guys count for your rested pools. I'm going to go ahead and start a little bit of theme music, and we'll take it from there. Let me see. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So, you guys are leaving the cafe. You know that Ganadel Esoterics Limited is a little bit further into the district. What are you guys getting up to?
I think Gav's gonna let Maurice take the lead on this one. She promised to help, and it came at the price of Maurice got a talking to about what they need to do after this. So she's game.
Excellent. Okay.
Twigg's just tagging. Just kind of like Twigg's hanging out with Duncan. That's what's going on. And like I'm gonna, over the course of this walk, Twigg just keeps feeding Duncan little bits of various pastry.
Duncan is not taking his eyes off of you.
Aww. And so actually, as we get started, because this is a significant event, I should have been pulling them before, but we're gonna pull a card. Ooh, this is a good one. This is the Revolutionary, the Sovereign of Secrets, Ravens, Books, and Flame. Its meanings are lust, sexuality, change, and destruction. Sovereign of the Family of Secrets, the Revolutionary is a force for change. Quite possibly the least secret of the family, the Revolutionary is brazen and bold, changing what needs changing, even if through destruction or violence. The strong sexuality of the Revolutionary here is obvious, but the aspect is quite separate from the other. There is no suggestion of sexual violence here, but instead sincere passion and mutual attraction. I don't think that that's necessarily going to apply here. But, all right.
Whose group is that?
It's mine.
Of course it is.
Yeah. Yeah, so actually, because it is your sovereign, Twigg, you get +2 to all actions while it is in play. Everybody else gets +1. So
nice.
Yeah,
Secrets, Ravens, and Books. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so you've got that going for you. And as you're kind of like making your way, I think there's this. I think that this is kind of like the spirit of with which you bought your suit, Maurice. You kind of feel it endowing you with kind of like this confidence, this need to change what's right, what's wrong, and kind of see this through. So you find your way to that same store you saw, Ganadel Esoterics Limited. There's a number of swirling constellations of books over this facade of the shop. that you visited before. And I think this is a little bit too peppy. So let me find something a little bit.
Polka music plays.
Yeah, let's actually try. Yeah, let's do Celestial Plains. Okay. So yeah, so you find yourself in front of this bookstore. It seems even in the front window, you see all of the books kind of advertised. It is about time where they're open, but you don't see too many people inside the bookstore.
Do I notice anything that looks at all different from when I had scoped it out the previous night, other than it's daytime now?
You don't notice too much. I think that actually, why don't you give me a perception roll?
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna say your challenge is gonna be just a 5.
That's a 3 + 1 from the card, so 4.
Yeah, so I think this would count as a mixed success, and what you're looking at is probably you just see that it's a little bit more crowded than usual. Probably, I think that you saw a shutter open. Like, I think there were like blinds that were drawn before in front of like the shop window. Those blinds are drawn back to see into the store. It seems a little bit quiet, maybe a little. It looks like a place that'd be a little dusty on the inside. What are the rest of you guys doing?
So this is the only lead that you have?
Well, I mean, Tristan didn't really know what was going on. Tristan was being affected. He has no idea who would have any motive to kill Joa, so maybe we can find something out from her sister.
Seems fair. She's not gonna mind and Gav gestures to the rifle that's always strapped on her back.
That's a good point. Maybe she won't.
Twig, how deep are those pockets?
Pretty.
Can we test something?
Oh yeah.
Gav carefully unslings the sniper rifle, and we're gonna see if we can Mary Poppins this gun into this pocket.
Twig will like just kind of holds the pocket open and just goes like that. And so I will say, plentiful pockets. Want me to read the spell text, Zach?
Yes, please, for our listeners at home.
I have hundreds of hidden pockets in my clothing, some of which are far larger than they appear. I can store vast amounts, including items up to the size of anything I could carry in one hand. Yet I always know where everything is. So I would say you can rock a rifle in one hand.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, do like the balancing broom thing.
Yeah.
Or just grab it by...
I mean, I can hold it in one hand. Can I use it with one hand? No.
Yeah, but it's anything you can carry. So I would say for sure I can fit that in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Zach, you got that slide whistle sound effect queued up?
Now I'm gonna have to. You realize I'm gonna have to find that sound bank. Yeah. So
we need a yoink and a yeet sound effect.
Amazing.
Yeet. All right.
Well, why do we need one? We just have Zach.
There we go. Yeah, I think. Yeah, exactly. It's like doop 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 as you
All right, then there's no problem.
Give it a little shake to make sure the scope gets through the opening in the pocket. But yeah.
Oh, that reminds me, you haven't made a depletion roll yet for it today.
I did yesterday,
okay, or
2 weeks ago, and I rolled higher than I rolled on anything else that entire session.
Perfect. It's fine. Yeah.
I had a 9 on my depletion for my dumb things.
If that spell ever depletes, it's gonna be amazing.
Have you looked at the inventory sheet?
Wait, so everything just goes away?
No, it just shows up.
Yeah.
Even worse.
He'll basically be Scrooge McDucking in like random crap.
Where does it show up?
It in and around, like I assume it just starts overflowing out of the pockets as they collapse.
Yeah, it's either that or
Guys.
maybe there's just a pile in front of you. What like
I
shows
have
up?
so much
I can't wait.
bullshit. And like
You can swear here. This is not.
I know I got so excited when I realized I could. I have so much bullshit in my pockets. I'm down to 29 pastries at last count.
Yeah.
Down to.
Down to. Twig just picks shit up, and because one of my only combat spell is barrage, I pick a lot of just random bullshit up just to shoot at people.
Love it.
Yeah. I
And
think
lots of food.
If that's the case, like after Gav sees the rifle is safely pocketed, she'll put her own hands in her fairly normal sized pockets and gives her shoulders a shrug like, all right.
And Maurice is just tickled to see this.
And yeah, absolutely. I
Something
think
seems right about this.
yeah, everything is right in the world. And you make your way towards the entrance, I assume. Gavriel, are you doing anything different? Or Twig? Yeah.
Is there anything now as somebody who doesn't have as much of a personal stake in this immediate affair but is now curious, is there anything that is unusual, not to repeat a beat that Maurice just did, but more from a soldier's intuition perspective? Does anything seem off here, or are we just walking into a store to ask some questions?
It's like, just, I will give this to you, like, tactically, I mean, I think that your instinct is to like look for the exits and look for like tactical advantages and kind of where you can kind of sneak in.
I think like I meant that more like if Gav doesn't sense anything kind of off, she's not really gonna care so much about finding a way, an immediate way out. But if something felt a bit then she might be more inclined to just keep track of everything.
Why don't you actually make me a perception roll?
Sure can.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that. I'm not gonna say the difficulty on this. I'm just gonna let you do whatever you like.
I'm gonna pop a Benny into that.
Okay.
The plus that I already got. 7 on the dice.
Okay, so with an 8, there's something about this. There's just, you feel like it's like almost like so there's something that you're aware of, not formally like Kyrrie knows things, but you are aware of this informal idea, which is the currents of magic. There are many currents, but there is one that everybody typically learns to use. And sometimes, and that is kind of like how the path of suns works. It goes from one sun to the next in a prescribed order from, top to bottom, and then back to the top. But there's also, there's something about, there's almost like a little shift in the current of magic. And you don't know if it's because like you have spent a great deal of time with this darkness inside of you recently, but there's something dark in the current around you. And the question is whether or not it has something to do with you, or it has something to do with where you're going.
Something's off here. I can't be sure what it is, but just be on your guard.
Thank you. Good idea. All right. Ready to do this?
Yeah?
Let's go. And Maurice opens the door.
And inside you see a very sparsely populated bookstore. There is what look to be a couple of people just kind of like absent-mindedly kind of browsing the stacks, half just wandering, half just kind of killing time. Couple of older people in the back. There's a couple of young people that are like looking at some of the, really like looking more at the pictures of a couple of spell books, it appears to be, and other people are just kind of milling around. And there is a fairly elegant looking young woman kind of minding the store behind a customer reception desk. Just not very engaged, but not disengaged necessarily. It seems like a slow day.
Maurice turns to Gav and to Twigg especially and says, look, he kind of digs through his pockets and comes up with about 10 crystal orbs and says, all right, if you're going to eat anything, pay for it first. All right, this is your allowance. Go nuts.
Twigg, visually, you can tell Twigg considers being offended and then just decides to roll with it. Also, I dead ass thought you were going to say butterscotch candies.
Here you go, kids.
Don't eat them all at one sitting. You'll get a tummy ache. Maurice, instead of walking, straight at Ayla, takes a lap and, just kind of looks, goes to the fiction section, looks for both anything having to do with the gray, as is his wont, and also keeping an eye out for any Basil Cotton books.
Absolutely. I think, why don't you give me a perception roll?
Sure.
And I think this one's just a challenge 5.
Okay. I'll spend 1. 5 on the die.
Excellent. So with a 6 then, you end up taking a look around and easily enough you find
7 because of the card, right?
Excellent. Yeah, right.
Yes.
7. Don't forget you guys have the sovereign in place. So yeah, you're just kind of like looking around the shop, and easily enough you find a couple of interesting like fictional books, a number of which are actually Basil Cotton books. They don't have like they have a very small selection. It seems to be a very kind of limited selection. It's like it's almost kind of like your local used bookstore. Sometimes they'll have some like real popular stuff, but typically that stuff goes. So sometimes you'll find like the side books that not a lot of people were very popular for, but people were like reading as completionists. So this is like they're a pair of them they're not the best Basil Cotton mysteries, but they're definitely a part of the lexicon, or the kind of like official grouping or what have you.
So he's kind of thumbing through these volumes and decides that where he's at in this store is kind of a quiet corner.
Yeah.
And kind of leans around like a shelf and says, excuse me, I have a question if you don't mind.
The woman behind the counter looks up and from this book that she's just reading in her hand, and she closes it, sets it aside, and says, yes.
I think that this book is out of place on the shelf. It's part of a series. Could you maybe take a look?
And she, like, I think she looks like she's about to sigh, thinks better of it, and kind of walks around to where you've pointed out the book.
So as she gets closer, Maurice kind of smiles and says, thanks for helping. I'm just a big fan of the series. You know the author lives here in Zephyr.
No, I believe this is, actually, are you trying to lie to her?
No, this is, what's her face? The author did live in the Topiary, no?
She lives in Lower Taverswood, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, he's lying.
Yeah, and
see if she picks up on it.
Yeah, she literally says, actually, no, I'm pretty sure the author of this is from Lower Taverswood.
Oh, you're probably, how silly of me. And then his voice gets a little bit lower and says, I actually had a different question I wanted to ask you. My friend Ashwin sent me. It's about Tristan.
And she looks at you and, okay. I answered a lot of questions prior to this.
I'm sure. I don't mean to impose. I know this must be very difficult.
You have no idea.
I believe Tristan is innocent, at least in motive. I don't believe he was in control of himself. Somebody wanted him to kill Choa. I'm looking for any motive as to why.
Oh my god. And she is kind of taken aback. Gavriel and Twigg, what are you guys doing?
So I was about to ask this. The way that then I'm going to preference this with a little bit of fun thoughts here. The way that I imagine that Gav approaches magic is half the time I don't think she's really conscious of like weaving a spell or invoking anything. I think it's more predatory and primal, just in keeping with the theme of the certain spells that she utilizes, and seems innate. So I am trying to figure out the best way to say this, which I think is that she's going around the store, and as she was walking in, she had that weird feeling of something dark, something wrong with magic, which I think for her she would pick up almost like a hound dog on the scent, and I think she can like not quite smell magic, but for all intents and purposes, that is exactly what she's trying to do. Like she is sniffing the air, and like her feathers like are going like up or down depending. Like she's like idly browsing the shelves and trying to move if she can like get a scent on the direction of where this weird magic is coming from, or if it's, as you had speculated before, the miasma of what's going on around herself.
Why don't you make me a perception roll? You can, I think that the challenge rating is going to be 8 on this.
Okay, pump that other Bene in there, and I got that +1.
All right, see what you got.
Nope.
How bad?
It was a 2 on the dice.
Okay. Yeah, I think you kind of like are looking. There's something about this. You kind of realize, I think that this is kind of a point of despair, actually.
Oof.
What you're doing is you are looking for a singular source of dark, kind of like dark magic, dark faceted magic, looking around. And you realize that it's like a low hum, like a bass line that is all around you. And right as you come to that realization, Twig, what are you doing?
Do I see what this is happening?
Wait, what?
Do I see what Gav's doing?
Yeah, you kind of like, I think you see her just kind of like sniffing the air and kind of like, well, describe what does that look like for me, Gavriel?
Yeah, I think, like as I said before a little bit, because she has these like extra expressive feathers that almost serve as like a third set of not quite hands, but they can gesticulate like a bird's does. So it's like going up and it's kind of going down, like maybe like 1 or 2 rays up, and it's like she's not really like sniffing the air, but you can tell that she's clearly like trying to sense something.
So like semi-conscious emoting.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Twig, what do you do? Yeah.
How long has it been since Maurice asked our fine upstanding shopkeeper back to that corner? But did that conversation take like a couple minutes, or?
I mean, it's just started. Yeah,
it's just started. It's happening simultaneously with what you guys are doing.
It was just leaning against. Assume there's like a counter on a register type deal. And Twig's just leaning against that and just kind of pawing through whatever is there, just kind of keeping a cocked eye on Gav in case the situation deteriorates.
Yeah, I think what I want you to do is I'd like you to make me a perception roll. And I need you guys to tell me something. Did all 3 of you come in together?
We did.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did.
Yeah, we would have.
Okay. So yeah, why don't you, Twig, make me that perception roll. Again, the challenge rating is going to be 8.
Okay, I'll put a bene in this, and I get +2 from the
Supercard fun time.
Yeah, Supercard. Yeah.
from Raven's Secrets books.
Yeah. So we need a 5 or above.
So that'll be if that's 2 on the dice. Just a heads up, my internet connection is unstable because everything's awful. But that is 2 on the dice, so a total of 5.
Okay, so guys, by the way, if anybody, if we blink out or what have you, don't mind, just because it's crappy all around because everybody's using, but for good reasons, because everybody's using Zoom to connect with family. So
disgusting.
So yeah, I think with a 2 on the die, again, you get this sense of unease. I think with the perception, you get the sense that Gavriel is also uneasy, and there's something wrong, and you can't put your finger on it. And we're gonna cut back to where Ella was speaking to you. She says, and she, after you kind of give this revelation to her, she looks at you and says, "Are you sure?"
Well, I'm got a hunch, looking to prove it, and I like to do a sense motive roll with her.
Absolutely.
Is that based in a perception pool or an interaction pool?
That's an interaction pool.
All right, so I get +1 as a weaver, and I'm going to spend 2, so +3 +4 because of the card.
Yeah. Okay. So give me a 4 or above.
All right, that is a 6 all day.
6 altogether?
2 on the die.
Okay. You don't get the sense that, like, as I think that there's something that like is nagging at your mind, and she says, "I'm so grateful that you brought this to my attention. I can't tell you." And she puts her hand on your shoulder as you feel a shock of venom run through your entire body. You take 5 points of poisonous injury as you have caused Ella to panic.
So, a couple things are going to happen.
Did you see that?
So, at what point do I take a wound?
You take a wound when... So, normally, let me actually, I believe, set the music here. So, you would typically take a wound if you did not spend a physicality bene to block the... Actually, what you're needing to do is... I need you to make... I know what it is. I need you to make a resistance roll as she does this. So you would take a wound if you fail the resistance roll.
Got it. And I don't think I have anything now.
Yeah,
okay.
Let's actually change this to
no, I do have a resist bonus.
Yeah, cool.
So, and then plus another one from the card?
Yeah.
So +2 from the die roll.
And you need a you need a 6 to get past this.
That is a 5.
Ooh.
5 total?
5 total.
All right, so you take 5 points of damage. You can use 1 bene to resist 3 points of it. But it sounds like either way you're going to eat at least 2 injuries.
Okay, that's I'll burn a physicality to take only the 2 injuries. And then at this point, more so as a reflex, not so much that Maurice knows he's doing it. He is going to use his forte, Conflicting Tales, which I will read.
Yes, please do that. Yeah.
Recalling that sometimes there are different versions of a single tale, I vanish and reappear up to a very long distance away safely. Okay. So Maurice is gone.
Excellent. Where do you
out of the?
Yeah, go ahead.
So he finds himself looking on, probably like 30 to 50 feet away, like basically where they had paused and, put the sniper rifle in the coat, everything's kind of like back outside the front of the store.
Absolutely. All right, that you do that. Here, Twigg, Gavriel, what are you guys doing?
we
I saw
see
that
this.
happen. I'm looking over at Twig, and my eyes like scan over to the woman who was just talking to Maurice a few seconds ago.
Mm-hmm. And
We have no idea where you went.
And Duncan goes,
yeah.
And so we
Duncan.
can't, I can't see you to rendezvous with you. I just saw this woman like touch you and then you
And I
yeeted.
just-
Disappeared. So
Oh no.
yeah, hell no.
I'm about to walk, like, can I like, Twig, I'm like looking at you like,
Twig. So brief glance, same word, right?
this is an apostate.
with
ESP.
Gav, yeah, a little bit of that, glamps. That's an apostate ability. Don't worry about it. And Twig immediately begins like hauling, reaching into the pocket for the rifle. And
Yeah,
And
if you toss
slide
it to
whistle.
me, I catch it.
yep, just whoop, and then boom. Yep,
So-
short
And then
toss.
I like twirl it around and like rest it on my shoulder. I don't care what the other people in the store must be thinking right now. I do care if that woman saw me.
So I need, it sounds like, okay. So Twig, you are using your action to get Gavriel her rifle.
Yep.
Gavriel, are you trying to, it sounds like you're trying to get the drop on her?
No, I'm trying to intimidate.
Yeah. Okay, so I would like you to make an interaction roll. The difficulty is going to be 8. I think this is going to be an 8 in order to, like, you don't know what, like, necessarily this is going to affect. This is going to happen.
Yeah, I am coming her way.
Okay.
Boy, let's just see what happens. It's a 7.
All right, so 7 total.
So close.
Yeah, she sees you kind of glowering at her menacingly, and that is when you notice that the bookshop has a skylight. And she gestures around herself, and she begins to levitate and float directly
Oh no,
up.
son.
Um,
Incorrect.
Pull.
Yeah, she shoots up as quickly as she can. The bookshop is about near distance, so about 20-30 feet. She is undoing the latch on the skylight and as she does this, she looks down at you, and she is going to use her, actually, she's going to try to get away, or
I promise I can shoot you faster than you can figure out unlocking that latch.
at which point she
Why don't you come down instead so I can find out what you did to my friend?
At which point, the moment you say that and the moment she notices that you have the rifle in her hand, she doesn't do the latch, and instead she looks at you and says, "Freeze to the bone." And I need you to make a resistance roll.
Cool. What's the...
I need you to get 2 successes of a level 3.
Okay, I believe I have a point in that. Let me double check. It's been a while since I've done that.
It's been a while.
Been a while.
Yeah, it's pretty on.
There has to be one. Yes, I do have one, so I get a +2 to this.
Okay. Yeah. So all we're
That's
looking
a
for.
9 on the dice.
Yeah. So you feel your you need 2 successes.
Oh, I need to do it again.
Yes,
Okay.
so
So
you-
that was 1 9, and
You can spend sortilege in order to boost your defenses to magical proportions.
do I have to do that in order to roll twice, or do I just have to roll twice for this?
You have to roll twice. Like basically,
Wouldn't it, sortilege would let you roll 3 times then, right?
no, you
No.
you
No.
basically have your standard defense, and then you have your like withstand or resist.
What I'm trying to understand is, did you ask me to roll twice, or did you ask me to roll once? And if I want to be able to fully resist it, I must use sortilege.
I think you're gonna have to roll twice.
What level spell is this? Just
Uh,
out of curiosity.
It is a spell called Chill of Night. It is level 3 plus 1 die. So
How is it 1 9 and 1 8?
excellent. Okay, so count the sortilege off. Just take 1 point off your total sortilege.
Okay, so that's again what I was asking. Like, were you making me roll twice, or did I have to use a sortilege for this?
It requires it. You have to use sortilege
It requires a sortilege. Okay.
because you're using magical defenses.
No problem.
Okay. So yeah, basically you feel your limbs starting to chill and constrict, and then just I think the sheer anger of this and kind of like your adrenaline, you power through it, and you end up the warmth returns to your extremities as you bring the rifle to bear. So we're gonna go back to the top of the initiative. Maurice, what are you doing?
A kind of a moment of disorientation, and then realizing he needs to get back in that shop. So I think he's going to sprint back through the door, and then kind of take into account how things have changed since he zapped out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As you get
Everything's fine here. How are you?
Yeah, you used your action to push open the door, and you see now that Ella is floating to the top of the shop that has a skylight in it, and she has just gestured emphatically at Gavriel, and Twigg looks kind of apprehensive, but also, ready and determined, and Gavriel has leveled her rifle at Ella.
Okay, am I able to do anything?
That I would say, like, having to enter back into the shop from a distance away is probably going to be the majority of your action, but I will say you can say anything you like.
Yeah, so
treated D&D rules.
I think I'll catch Twigg, who has not just taken a big blast of magic in the face, and be like, I think she's in on it.
And I think that goes to me, anyways, turn order wise. So Twigg's just like, yeah, we picked up on that, and you're gonna. So you're probably the only one close enough to see, though. I guess bystanders could. Twigg basically jams their hand into their chest, kind of past this bandage binder thing that's always there to kind of trying to keep that big gaping hole closed, and pulls out. And it seems like blood flows into their hands and forms what appears to be some sort of revolver.
Ooh,
made
nice.
out of blood.
So one thing for not to interrupt, but I need to pull a card from the Path of Suns because we cast spells. Sorry, buddy. Sorry, buddy.
Rude.
Endless maze, journey, long spans of time, insanity, inner turmoil. As within, so without. The maze that traps you, slows your journey, forces you to double back, and leads you to where you don't want to go. Might be a physical maze, or might be your own decision, self-criticism, or self-doubt to get where. So journey tasks take much longer than expected. The NPC feels indecision or even starts to go mad. Perfect. All right. So
How does this happen? How does this always happen?
yeah. So
The
yeah.
heart of the cards.
Exactly. Heart of the cards. The difference is that unfortunately you do not have the +2 with your sovereign. But go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt your narration.
So whips this out and is just like, yep, we figured that out, and is gonna take a shot at I forgot her name again already. How am I? Why
Ella Ganadel.
Ella's hand.
Okay.
Whatever hand was reaching for that latch.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that this is a called shot. Does your spell give you an extra die? I believe it should, right?
I believe so.
It should because it's magic, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it does have a depletion. I don't think we actually wrote that, but I thought that was the intention.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
this is a spell we made up, so
Yeah.
for viewer awareness. Because that's a thing that you can do because the invisible sun's fucking awesome.
I love this game.
All right, so I'm gonna roll 2 dice.
Uh-huh.
I have a +1 to this because of my skill with light range weapons.
I'm gonna say it balances out because it's a called shot.
Oh, it's
So,
called shot. All right, so I'm just rolling 2 dice.
Yeah, you need 2 6s.
2 6s, and ooh. So if I plug sortilege, I get to roll 3.
Yeah, you can, or what you can do, no, it's for magic. You can't plug sortilege. It's only when you're doing basic stuff. unless you have a particular secret.
Okay.
So
I'm
why
gonna
don't-
put accuracy bene.
Yeah, throw a bene in there. So you need
wait,
2
I don't-
5s.
All right. Well, that is not 2 5s. That is a 3 and a 9 on the dice.
All right. So mixed success. The I think what happens is you fire true, and you the spell hits her hand, but you see this barricade kind of shimmer into place around her wrist, as though she was kind of braced for you guys the moment you came into the door all together. So that takes us to, and literally, Gavriel, you just watched this bullet kind of shimmer into nothingness. What do you do? Oh, that reminds me, because you cast another spell, we're going to turn the card again.
Also, I have a vex on my physicality now.
Don't tell the dean. This is a teacher you forgot to give us homework moment.
No, I'm gonna play it. This spell's pretty sick.
Hey, I still
There's a
have
reason why it has a
English.
downside.
Okay, so this is the
This doesn't go away until it depletes or until I lose it.
the current of magic changes. The relentless rumor comes into play. Its meanings: endless half-truths, incessant drives, ruthlessness. It emphasizes green magic. It diminishes pale magic. What do you do?
Let's see if I have something along those lines that matches that. I didn't say that I did. I just said that I wondered.
Oh, I wonder.
I love that we draw this, and the spell I just cast was green.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a lot of my stuff is actually pale. So,
Oh no.
well, those are just if I were to use a spell in this case.
Just
Wait.
shooting her.
Most of these are not going to be apropos for.
Okay.
Seeing that barrier go up, do I see that it looked like it like shimmered and is stable, or that it shimmered and is gone?
I'm gonna say it shimmered and is stable. You know that if you are having any hope of hitting her, you are going to need to pierce this magical barrier she's created.
Maybe it's time to use something I have,
Oh, that's
which
right.
is a specter bullet
Ooh! All right.
that ignores armor and can pass through solid objects, and it does not stop until it hits flesh, baby.
All right. Yeah. So excellent. What level is that ephemera?
What a good question. A thing I did not write down.
Let me look it up. I got us. I got you. Don't worry.
I just know that it gives me an additional 2 damage, which when you see the rest of the damage that I cause now, it is.
It's gonna be horrifying. Yeah. Let me go back. All the
You know
other
what this
stuff.
reminds me of while Zach's doing that? This reminds me of the single best Easter eggy rando conversation in a video game. I love it so much. It's in the Mass Effect, you can run into a drill instructor screaming at recruits about, "Tell me, maggot, what is Newton's first law of physics?" And an object in motion stays in motion. No credit for incomplete answers until it's enacted on by an outside force.
Oh, okay. Oh my God.
That's doubly apropos, because guess what I was just playing before we started streaming.
This is devastating, because this is great. It
is about to be devastating.
is a level 5 bullet.
Get ready.
It adds 1 die. So here's the thing, because with your skills exceeding the challenge, you automatically hit.
Good.
Yeah.
Do you know for how much damage? Because I do.
How much damage do you?
6.
All right, it hits 6 plus. So you have baseline of 4.
Yep.
Don't you have Telestic Strike as well?
Oh, you are so right. I do.
What that do?
What that do?
It adds another 2 damage
Oh, man.
when I shoot with magic. So normally I use Telestic Strike if I add in a sortilege, which I pump my gun just like with a little spark of magic. So yeah, that hits for 8 damage. I'm sorry. Does she have a hand anymore?
No, it blows. I will gonna say this. You know what? I'm gonna give you a point of joy for this, as
One despair and one joy. This bookstore is giving me like 5 stars on Yelp.
Yeah.
I got one whole crux just for walking in.
Yeah.
This store blew me away.
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
And
What the
review,
real question
the books
is?
are very yummy.
Books are delicious selection.
Okay.
Oh no.
So you do 8 points of damage as she had her hand on the latch of this window, and it's gone. It just, there's a fine red mist pouring out of her sleeve, at which point you hear her scream as she looks. It basically, she begins to bleed profusely.
Is she falling?
You caught her by surprise, but you also, oh wait, that's right, it's a specter bullet, so it wouldn't shatter the glass. Yeah, no,
It stops once it hits flesh.
she is kind of like cradling herself in midair, and it's very disconcerting as she's levitating, and some of the blood is kind of pooling in the air around her, and some of it is raining down on the customers, who are all kind of like trying to run for the exits.
You can't take me anywhere.
Which brings it to her turn. So the very first thing she's going to do is she's gonna try to open the latch with her left hand, and I think at this point she gets the latch open, and she is going to try to get out. She's going to move her full movement out of the store. If you want any chance of downing her, you're going to have to get outside the shop and get a sight line on her. She's desperately trying to cling to life here.
All right.
Okay. Top of the round again. Maurice, you just ran into the shop. You see her exit after just watching this horrifying strike happen. And I think you're like, ah, shit. What do you do?
Yeah. So it's apparent that she's like bleeding out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Maurice is really concerned that this would, like, if she were to dying would be worse than her escaping, because then the trail would be, completely gone.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to turn around and kind of run out of the store again and try and catch her, catch a view of her flying out the top.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's going to he's thinking, like, if only she could, see like what she's done. And at this moment, like, it with the opposite of effort, because weaving magic is him, like pulling at these strands and making a thing, and his forte is much more matter of fact, much more like, no, this happens, and he casts departure from reality.
Oh,
I affect one being within long range so that their perceptions are now under my control. Everything they see, hear, touch, taste, and smell is what I want it to be.
Oh my
That is
God.
a ridiculous spell.
Amazing.
I'm a monster.
Can we just appreciate that this spell is called Departure from Reality?
All right. So you are going to need 2 successes with this spell, each of them equal to 6, as you basically force your way into Ella's mind to alter her perceptions, as you kind of narrate, like, yeah, what does this look like? And actually, give me that roll first.
Yeah, so and I'm rolling 2 because of her defenses?
Yeah, she still has the magical barrier up. It's just Gav pierced it very effectively.
So unfortunately, I have no extra sorcery bene to spend.
Okay.
So here we go. Oh my God, a 3 and a 0.
Oh no, flux!
Flux!
All right. So you have this intention, and let's actually find the flux chart real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes. Okay.
God damn it.
Minor flux chart. Okay, the temperature. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, this makes sense. I think that as you kind of reach forward with your consciousness to try to alter hers, it feels like your reach is exceeding your grasp a little bit. This is the first time you've ever cast this, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the thing about this is happening second nature to you. It feels like instinctual to reach out and affect this reality. But it's like that muscle has atrophied and you're calling on resources that you used to have that are kind of stripped out for the time being, and it racks your head with a terrible pain and headache. So yeah, you begin having this migraine, and I'm going to give you 1 vex to your intellect as the migraine begins to supersede your ability to think straight.
Okay, so my desired effect doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. I think your desired effect is still there for flavor, but because you failed, you weren't able to grasp her consciousness.
Sure, okay.
What are the side effects other than like you control their perceptions?
It just says depletion 0, check each round.
Yeah, unfortunately, it fails because you didn't get through the defenses.
All right.
Okay. Twig, what are you doing?
Marking down my sorcery expenditures. Twig is going to bust outside as well. Just kind of like, well, this could have gone better.
And I think Maurice will see Twig run out and say, don't kill her.
Incidentally, I have to pull another card. This one is the rat.
Every time, right before I cast a spell that has a benefit. Every time.
But this is different. The rat is the companion of mysteries, rats, mirrors, and stones. So it's unfortunately it's Kyrrie's. Survival, resistance, shadows, concealment. Rats are masters of survival. They're hardy, smart, and stealthy.
That could be good.
Yeah, this is pretty much. It's a companion though. Unfortunately, it doesn't confer a benefit to anybody who doesn't match. I believe companions only give benefits. I'll double check this. But why don't you go ahead and tell me what your action's going to be, and we'll figure that out next.
I gotta reread this spell.
Okay. You can read it aloud if you like.
I create a weapon that can be wielded with one hand from my own blood, adding 1 vex to my physicality pool. This weapon shimmers with sanguine liquidity and is hot to the touch, but harder than steel. It disappears when it leaves my hand, or I sheathe it back into my own bloodstream. The vex, however, remains. Depletion 0 at the start of each day. Color green, level 4. Can I change it after I draw it?
Let me see.
That's up to you. This is DM fiat, 100%.
What do you mean change it?
If I wanted to, yeah, I can shoot a harpoon gun with one hand.
Yeah, actually, okay, so, duplicates the... Oh, actually, okay, companion. Duplicates the effects of the previously played card. If played first, okay. So yeah, in that case, it replicates the action of the Relentless Rumor. You said your color of your spell is green?
It is green.
You are, I'm gonna say for the sake of this, it accentuates your spell. It adds 1 to your venture when you cast it. I am also going to give you that change ability effect, that metamorphosis, for free.
Awesome. Cool. All right, so I'm rolling 2. And I'm adding another accuracy bene to this.
So we're looking for 4 on each die.
Okay. Oh, fuck. Oh, I can do that. You can do this.
I believe in you.
You dick. Oh wait, 1 bene, 1 light weapon, and 1 from the green.
Yeah, so 3. Actually, I misspoke. It should be 3.
That's unfortunate. So I have a 7 and a 1 on the dice.
All right. I think, you know what I will do is I will say that basically the harpoon finds purchase, but it doesn't do any damage. So basically you see this thing wrap around her shimmering kind of magical barrier defenses. And you have no idea how long this harpoon's going to stay attached as it kind of like grapples around her. But for the time being, you have her on a line. I'm going to say it's a mixed success.
Hey, we still wanted to talk to you.
Gavriel, what are you doing?
I am running out the store.
Don't kill her. Don't kill her.
I gave her a warning. I don't want to kill her. And as I'm like chasing after her, I'm gonna shout, "Stop!"
Okay.
Or the next one goes through your heart, and it's a bluff.
All right, make a interaction roll. I'm gonna give you 1 for this because you've already grievously wounded her.
Yeah, and I'm gonna add in my single interaction Bene into this.
Good use. Good use.
Excellent.
Just got the 1.
Yeah, so you just need to get, I think at this point, the challenge rating is gonna just be a 4.
It's a 7.
Awesome. And I think at this point, both from exhaustion and both from like blood loss, the levitation begins to fade. And she is about 40 feet up in the air and she starts lowering as if to comply. And the next thing that happens is she begins dropping. So we're gonna say,
I can race to catch her.
yeah, everybody, like, I was gonna say this is happening all very quickly. You can like get under her, but we're gonna go back to the top of the round just to see what everybody is doing all at once, because she's listening to your command. You've given your action, but she's now beginning to fall from the blood loss. I will actually say that should have been your despair. Okay.
Oh, another despair?
No, I think 1's enough for that should have been your despair.
Ah, I see.
Okay, so Maurice, you're up.
So Maurice will run to position himself to try and catch her, and if he can, I don't know if he's readying an action or what, but he would really like to refresh a pool.
Okay.
With an action, if that's possible.
You may do that, but that is, you don't know how long it's going to be until she falls. I'm saying you can do that, whatever you want to do.
Right. He's not going to take the risk and would like to expend all of his effort being ready to catch her.
Okay. So you do that. Twig, what are you doing?
You muted.
You muted.
Mic control. I was eating an apple, so I figured y'all didn't want to hear me. So would there be any benefit to me hauling on this line that is currently wrapped around Ella's leg?
The line is going slack as she's falling.
Okay, so I'm like, I can't help position. I can't like to help Maurice catch her possibly.
I am afraid not. I think what you can do is you can try to get under her as she falls and assist him.
Cool. Twig's gonna just release the line, which I imagine causes another little mini rain of blood, but keep their paws on the actual harpoon gun, and stuff it back, just kind of jam it back into their chest wound as they run and basically attempt to, like, I don't know, lighter than feather, lighter than air, this bullshit.
Light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Yeah, that thing.
Okay, which brings us to Gavriel. This is the last action before she probably meets y'all's preparations. What are you doing?
I'm trying to position, like you said before, I think Gav is just trying to position herself in such a way that if she falls too fast, too far, I'm going to try to catch.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to leave this to y'all. Who's doing the catching?
All right.
I think we can get like a kind of a 3-person like basket.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Hold on 1 second.
What you got?
Did I? The real question is, did I? I'm trying to remember, Zach. Did I steal some bed linens from King Nine? I don't think I did. I don't have it in my inventory.
Wait.
So.
I know somebody cut a piece of it. Kyrrie, was that you?
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, unless Kyrrie shared with you the self-replicating cumulonimbus blanket, you don't have it.
Alas, it is not in my inventory, and as of such, I cannot use it in this situation. Yep.
But
I have nothing to add. Move along.
Well, how about this? I'm gonna pull a card. I am gonna pull a card, and if the card is good, I'm gonna say you have a blanket in your inventory, and you can do this like fireman style.
Twig's just pulling an entire blanket out of an interior pocket of a coat.
The card is
Out of the sleeve.
The card is the empty. I'm not making this up. The card is the empty gallows. Rescue, salvation, solution, favorable judgment, escape. The gallows claims no victory today. Today we are granted a reprieve, or we make an escape, or someone rescues us.
He is risen indeed.
Yeah, whatever the reason, the threat is gone, the problem is solved. The empty gallows brings a feeling of relief, of gratitude, and newfound purpose. It is a sudden extension of life as you pull from your many plentiful pockets a blanket that you didn't realize that you had.
I know how I realized it. Literalum is literally just laboriously pushing this thing out of, and it's not even from like a good pocket. It's from the front pocket. So it's just like he's pushing it out and just, and then it keeps going. And Twig just like,
it is a stage magician like pulling a handkerchief from their sleeve, but it is like a full, like solid comforter, and the style of it is like all these numerous leaf types. It is like woven into this comforter that you didn't realize you had, and the three of you stretch this out between you. So I need somebody to roll a withstand roll with one assistance from swordledge from somebody, and I'm gonna add 2 to your venture because this is great.
Who's got the withstand bonus? Because I do not.
I am trying to remember. I think I have dodge, not withstand.
All right. So
I'll spend the swordledge.
Excellent. I'm gonna say that your target is going to be her level, which is 5, and you are going to. What I need you to do is roll with the swordledge. I'm gonna say you need to just roll a 2 or higher. This is just to make sure she doesn't crack her head from when you like catch her.
So neither of you have the withstand?
No.
Who feels lucky?
I just rolled like shit.
I'll do it.
All right.
I think it makes sense. Gav's got that military.
Twig's got the blanket. I got the swordledge. Gav's got the strength.
So I need to roll what on both dice?
Just one. You only need to get a withstand roll because you're basically withstanding the weight of her as she falls.
One of those was an 8.
Excellent. So with that, you catch her as she falls, and she is beginning to bleed out and lose consciousness.
So Maurice can, with an action, refresh a pool, and at his next opportunity, weave a spell that would heal. But if we're still in action mode, that's his turn, is refilling the pool.
Absolutely. I will say that for the intents and purposes, you do that. You heal. She was on her way to a 3rd wound, which would have killed her. You managed to heal 1 wound. You see the kind of like blood slow to a trickle as her wound begins to coagulate, and you have her kind of wrapped in this blanket, and she is soundly unconscious. You notice then that there is a commotion behind you.
Oh yeah, it's the fuzz.
Yeah, there is a commotion behind you, as there are people that are kind of crowded around looking at all of you, having kind of, basically pulled this person. And that's when you see an older gentleman with leonine hair, basically kind of tucked behind his ears, shoulder length, being accompanied by someone you recognize even in their changing form is Joe, Maurice, as you begin seeing Joe and Hylas Strom, the Garant of the neighborhood, looking on and saying, "What's going on? What is this? Someone summon the Thaw."
Fuck. Oh man. So I think Maurice is going to look at the effects by level table. Yeah. Oh shit. Because he just had to spend 5 to heal. So Maurice is going to spend an action to refresh another pool and pushes Twigg forward and says, "Stall."
So, fun story. I rolled really well on my last session, if you recall, for the beginning of the day's replenish rolls. So, I always have 2 effects going, and that is Plentiful Pockets and Inculpable Aura.
Uh-huh. Love it. Okay.
So, Twigg's going to just be like, just get a little bit pushed forward by Maurice. So he's just like, "Gentlemen." And they're just like, "It is a delightful and charming story that I am about to tell you." So she attacked us and then we shot her. Completely self-defense.
That's your stall?
It would have been better than mine.
Let me pull up Hylas's.
We were just in there shopping for books. My friend Marcus here was looking for some delightful fiction for the orphanage that he works at, and
yeah, it's better. It's better.
Gavriel over here was just merely accompanying us for a stroll, and just making sure that everything and everybody was okay.
I would like you to make, I think this counts as deception. So I would like you to take 1 for your Inculpable Aura. I would like you to make a deception roll. You only need a 5. So this would be an interaction, Bene.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely swimming in those. Lots of those kicking around. This is a character built for talking, clearly, guys. All right, so I'm going to expend 50% of my pool.
Okay. All right.
Interaction pool.
You still have a better interaction pool than I do.
Do you have 1?
Yep.
Yeah. So I get +1 for the Bene, +1. I can't use Sortilege on this. I can use Sortilege on this.
You could, if you could either choose Bene or Sortilege.
Ooh.
You can either roll 2 dice or just 1.
Honestly, that's just funner.
Funner.
More dice. Sortilege.
So you need 1 5.
So I need 1 5. Okay, so yeah, because I've got the +1. All right, cool. This won't end poorly. Damn. All right. 6 and a 9.
Excellent. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's something like Hylas kind of looks at you, looks down at Ella's wrinkled, like, or kind of prostrate form, and looks back up at you and says, "You're hiding something from me, but talk."
You are, in fact, correct. And Twigg pulls a pastry out of their coat. Can I interest you in a lightly used bear claw?
And Joe looks like he's about to make to summon the thaw, and Hylas puts his hand down, like kind of like basically kind of stops Joe from doing what looks to be some sort of kind of emphatic gesture. you know for a fact that Elderbrand are very rarely magic users, but they have their own kind of means of using the current of magic. And Hylas says, I am going to have a few of Therae Capthines. I'm going to have a few of my gardener's assistants assist us. We are going to take this young woman to an infirmary, and you are going to tell me everything that you've been doing in my district.
And Maurice was prepared to cast some magic that is no longer appropriate, and backs off and says, and like nods and like kind of pokes Gav and says like, that's better than the thaw.
All right.
Absolutely. We are fine, upstanding citizens of Saturain. And that sounds great. That sounds just peachy.
And he says, I don't like the way you say that, but let's go. And yeah, Hylas is very kind of down to earth. We kind of smash cut to you guys basically back in the Garrett's office. You have moved past that line of people waiting to issue grievances or do
We are the grievance.
Yeah, you are the grievance. Yeah,
Truer words have never been spoken.
Yeah,
that's an episode title.
Yeah, so you guys make your way to the office. Hylas is sitting in front of a kind of nice glass desk. His hands are steepled out in front of him, and he is listening patiently as what do you guys tell him?
I think Maurice comes in entirely clean and says, you know, I have reason to suspect Ella is involved or maybe even entirely responsible for her sister's death and has framed Tristan Farn. And I'll do a quick roll to identify the magic that she used against me, this like poisonous touch thing that she did, with the goal of identifying it and offering some sort of proof that this happened.
How do you spell the Garant's name?
Hylas, Hilas, Strom, Strom.
And he's the Garant of the
Topiary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of the Topiary district.
Cool.
So I've got +1 to identifying weird magic shit as a Weaver, and here we go. Hey, it's an 8 on the die.
All right, and you kind of take your time to kind of like think of the magic that she used against you and how much it withered, and it definitely has a demonic aspect to it. It is, you almost want to say Nightside magic. Like if you were to call it something, it would be either the Nightside of red, very destructive, very powerful, or maybe even like a facet of the dark.
So Maurice is kind of describing, just using this very, you know, he's no librarian. He has no idea of the exact names and notes, but it kind of like shows the mark and the burning of it, and describes the demonic flavor of this. It's like, she did that to me when I told her I'd spoken to Tristan.
At which point, you see Joe walk up to Hylas, bend down, say something in his ear, and Hylas kind of waves him away and says, "Thank you, Joe." So, several of our security members, private security, they actually ended up investigating Miss Ganadel's home. And we have a reason to believe that, and it's been several hours, I'd say. I think you've been spending a lot of time waiting kind of in detainment before being brought to Hylas. And at which point he says, and we have reason to believe that she has been part of a cell of the Church of Midnight. Are you familiar with the Church of Midnight?
I'm afraid not. Why didn't this come up in your initial investigation?
Well, we, to be honest, felt that we had something fairly in hand. It is. It was,
Maurice with the hard questions. Why are you bad at your job?
it was a fairly open and shut case. We have many responsibilities here at Topiary in the Zephyr, and quite honestly, it escaped my attention. A more thorough investigation, rather.
I'm just glad I could help. What can you tell me about the Church of Midnight?
It's an organization that is avowedly... Its main purpose is to rend the actuality and destroy all that exists. It's rather comical. They challenge all comers, as it were, to dare oppose them.
Are we in the room?
Oh yeah, you're all together.
All comers?
Well, yes, but I've never met anybody foolish enough to attack them directly.
And Maurice looks at you with the most tired eyes.
And, well, it seems we found a number of Ephemera and Nightside affiliated powerful tomes in her possession. We found what looked to be the remnants of a very dark ephemera object within her hearth. You remember from the bookshop there was a large fireplace at its center, although you'd spent very little time getting a chance before you kind of went all in on the action. And so, yeah, he just says, we found remnants of this ephemera. We are doing a more thorough investigation. For all intents and purposes, we wish to have access to Tristan, and it would be a great deal of aid to us if you were to, say, provide his location. We will find it eventually, but we would prefer it if you came clean with us now.
Of course, of course. It would make my job a lot easier if you had an Ilari rod or a place I could get one.
Well, I can speak to Therae. Typically, she makes use of the Ilari rods to create the gardeners. We could look at that as some sort of a reward.
Twigg just Twigg just kind of hisses from behind. We should look at the books.
We can't right now.
Maurice says that would be very fair. Thank you very much.
Good.
Maurice says the ephemera object, if I'm correct, it has something to do with controlling someone, affecting them at long range.
We'll speak to several of our experts, see what we can ascertain and find out.
We'll speak more when I bring Tristan.
Excellent.
I think Gav just like hearing like a whole bunch of things that most of it's gone over her head, but it's just like, what is this Nightside?
Well, not too many Vizsla are familiar with this. It's no surprise to me that you may not have heard it. Well, just as there are many suns, many people aren't aware of the other suns, but there are 8 suns, as you know, including the invisible sun, the 9th sun, and there is also a dark side to every sun. We call that the night side of any sun. It's typically, I haven't done much research on it, but supposedly there are more evil aspects of the suns themselves. I'm not any manner of scholar, but suffice to say, I know enough to know, let's say, malevolent magic when I hear of it. Our investigators are very typically pretty thorough in this regard. They just didn't think to investigate Ella's shop or her personal quarters.
I understand. Can't
You're
be
welcome.
everywhere at once.
Awful.
So wait, what, Gavriel, what were you saying?
No, that was a perfect moment of there are 2 types of people, wasn't it?
Yeah, and yeah, he just kind of says, and so, if I may ask, what brings you to the Topiary district, to the Zephyr? Other than this job, it seems too coincidental.
What do you mean? I spoke with Joe about it. He directed me to Therae. Therae directed me to Ella.
But all three of you.
Oh, they're my friends. Handy in a scrap.
Well,
Twigg just gives finger guns.
well, far be it for me to judge a weaver and making allies from two apostates. I had my rebellious days as well. And he kind of like looks wistfully for a second, at which point Joe kind of yes, so there is the matter of the Ilari rod, which we will acquire for you. And sorry, looks like I'm half in, half out here. 1 second.
It's very mysterious.
Yeah, so it looks like we've acquired your Ilari rod with some time. It's a very valuable object.
Yes, thank you.
I just want you to know that we are going to... Are you making a new thought form? Is that your intent?
Yeah, and Maurice looks down at Duncan and says, yes. Yes.
You seem so certain.
Certain of very few things these days, but I am happy that I could clear an innocent man's name. And he holds out his hand.
No, I'm glad to that you were to be able to be of assistance, and he takes your hand and shakes it.
And then with the other hand, for the Ilari rod.
And yeah, at which point, and Joe produces the Ilari rod, hands it over to you, and at which point he says, so we're very grateful for the assistance you provided to Zephyr. You actually saved us some time and the investigation of a zealot who that I suppose that this Ilari rod is sufficient payment.
Hey, the Thaw didn't get involved. You win, we win. I'll see you again soon with Tristan, and this will all be over.
Excellent. And we are going to cut there, as I think this takes the better part of the full day. So, Kyrrie, what have you been up to? Tell me something. Do you forego the ceremony, or do you want all the pomp and circumstance?
I think naturally Kyrrie doesn't really want like a huge formal ceremony the way that like if it was say like a graduation, like the whole class would walk up, like everyone who passed. I think she would like, you know, if there was like a small gathering of people she knows or cares about, like Alinea, you know, people who would recognize her passing, Ardeno, that kind of thing. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but in advancement you get a medallion, isn't that right? To mark that you're next level?
You do.
So yeah, like just a small, like a dinner. I feel like Kyrrie would like a dinner party with like Ardeno and Alinea, and just like have them confer the medal upon her and then disband.
Absolutely. I think it is a what is the menu? Like, what do you stipulate? Because I think this is all kind of like a private affair. Where do you guys eat? What do you do?
Tenure cheese, definitely. Lots of tenure cheese.
Absolutely.
I feel like the menu is definitely pretty classical. So I imagine like when big university events are held, that there's like a catering company that does a lot of them. And so like the food tends to be pretty, I don't know, you would think like French patisserie. So like, you know, nicely, intricately decorated, like small desserts, miniature versions of things. I feel like a lot of academics would enjoy like mini versions of classic dishes just because it's fun and they can miniaturize food. So like, I feel like commencement ceremonies are very much like a time they can showcase that sort of thing. Like, oh yes, let's all pat ourselves on the back and eat miniature versions of what we would normally eat.
Yeah, absolutely. They're tiny little miniature burritos for people that are interested in that sort of thing. Or miniature cakes with little bits of icing on top. It is a sumptuous miniature affair. It is a lot of fun. Ardeno is in very good spirits. You don't know how, but you're watching a man made of books imbibe a copious amount of wine in spirit of your achievement. And you kind of see some of the books that make him up kind of wobbling around as if they're on like a hapless a very like badly arranged stack. I think Alinea is there, and she's kind of looking on you with a lot of approval. And I was gonna say, do you and you receive the medallion? It's conferred upon you by Alinea, and basically there's a very small speech of not really too much importance. It's more like kind of a little bit matter of fact, but you can tell that Alinea is very filled with pride in you, and just kind of says, "It is my pleasure to confer upon you the second rank of the Order of the Vance. I hereby dub thee the rank of Velator."
And Kyrrie's kind of gonna duck her head down to receive the medallion around her neck. And she's really proud. Like, Kyrrie doesn't wear her heart on her sleeve a lot, but you can tell she really, this means something to her. And, to have this sort of small dinner with family and friends and such, she's really, really pleased by her accomplishment. But she does sort of feel an absence as well. She's thinking about Twigg and Gav and Maurice, and she wishes they were there to celebrate with her as well.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's this kind of like this pain, like this not pained, but necessarily like this kind of absence of them, in which you kind of, I think you probably step out onto one of the kind of exposed balconies of or one of the many kind of artful balconies of this library, and just take a look over the Vancian campus. And that is when you hear a very familiar voice behind you. "Well, sister, did you think you could really avoid me for this long?"
Kyrrie is going to have just a chill goes down her spine, but it's a familiar chill, one she recognizes frequently and has learned to expect. She steels herself, takes a breath, and turns around.
And your sister Allegra is standing there, her hair brushed over the scar, ostensibly made left on her body by the war. She is very kind of dressed uptight and kind of buttoned up very conservatively. And she says, "I suppose congratulations are in order."
Is that you congratulating me?
No, only if you wish to congratulate me first.
And I should congratulate you? Why?
Well, I'll be leaving this sun soon.
Oh, you'll be traveling back to the blue.
Oh yes, I'll become a part of it.
Ah, the Court of Nois?
Yes. I am to be inducted soon.
Oh, are you? Liaison not good enough for you anymore?
I'm afraid not, no, and Count Solemn, unlike so many other members of the Vance, sees my earnest wish to improve this world, and he is acting on it.
By appointing you to the court.
Well, I will become a member. I'll leave this corporeal body behind, and I will become pure information.
Has that always been your dream, sister?
Well, I didn't have many left after the war, did I?
I've asked so many times about the war, and yet you still refuse to tell me if you remember anything.
I just remember what was taken from me. Our family, our parents, all of the work I put in, my grimoire. Everything was stolen from me by the war. It gave me you. And it would have been one thing if you could have told me anything. Anything at all about what happened to this place. What happened to us. You had no idea.
Count yourself lucky that you had any memories at all.
This is me officially letting you know. My ascendance will not be obstructed. It will not be interrupted or stopped. It is probably the last time I will see you. And while I must give you my begrudging respect for the work that you've done, I acknowledge even that, yes. It's my request that you respect my wishes and stay out of my life.
Is that a promise?
Yes.
Allegra, you know how I feel about the Court of the Nose and about what they do with information.
Oh, like it's any better with the Vance staying in their libraries, studying things as though they should be shared. This... Who do you think they share it with? Other Vances? What is one set of ownership different from another?
Yes, but you see, rising the ranks of the Vance means that I can effect change to that. Means that events like the Conclave of Yov are not just once a year openings to the public, but that actually I can make material difference in the knowledge economy, by which I mean dismantling the economy around knowledge, and not, as you would prefer, to stamp a copyright on every idea created around this sun or any other.
I wish I could be around you when I see all of those delusions of grandeur shatter.
And what would leave me with you, in your shoes, about to ascend to something that is going to actually have an inimical effect on this world?
I am just taking back what's mine. Taking back a small piece of what I lost.
And yes, that's the problem, isn't it? It's yours. The knowledge is yours to consume. The ideas are yours. They belong to you and the blue and that realm, and they're no one else's.
You're damn right.
And that's why we will never see eye to eye, sister.
If we ever did. Well, I take my leave of you. Good luck, sister. And she leaves. There's one nagging thought. Actually, why don't you go ahead and make me an interaction roll? Actually, this would be intellect.
Sure.
Just tell me what you get. You can add Bene as normal.
Yeah. Perfect. I will definitely add a bit to that. And is this about formalized knowledge at all, or this is just more intuition?
This would be formalized knowledge.
Okay, then I'll add my usual magical knowledge, magical lore, formalized knowledge, Bene.
Yep.
That is a 6 on the dice.
Okay.
+3.
So, +3 with a 9. It occurs to you when she's far out of eyesight, as like the blood rushing to your face kind of finally kind of cools down. You made the deal with King 9. Should protect you from divination. But your sister was able to find you. And that's where we're going to cut back to everybody in the Topiary district. So after some time, you not only have made your way to Talisbury Park. I'm assuming, Maurice, you've done the talking. You've asked Quercus to let Tristan accompany you.
Absolutely. And if Jack is there, to pay my debt.
And yeah, Slipping Jack is there. He is just kind of biding his time. He's what looks like to be in like the middle of a body story with Tristan and Quercus. and Tristan and Quercus are kind of looking on, kind of like quizzically, like, oh, I guess that's funny. And Slipping Jack thinks whatever he's saying is hilarious. Yeah. And that's when, what was it? Just slid his pocket open, and out fell a bunch of jello. I'd never seen anything like it. And he says, "Oh, company. Always love company. How you doing? What's been going on, brother?"
Well, some excitement, I guess. Found your Ilari rod.
Ooh, I like it. Thank you. I can't wait. Yes, please.
Yeah. If you could give us a few moments alone.
Certainly. All right. Old Jack will just be outside of the ship if you don't mind. And Twigg and Gavriel, you guys are like on the deck of this Topiary galleon. It is majestic. I think, Twigg, you're particularly taken with it.
100%. I like this Talisperi in general. Twig has been they've been real quiet in general, just kind of like, oh, this is good. Like this place feels, it's a little bit wild, a little bit just beautiful, just all the growth, all the green, and fucking pirate ship made out of trees. Yes.
And so you guys are left alone with Tristan and Quercus.
So Maurice kind of goes forward and says, Tristan, I'm sorry to say, all the evidence points towards Ella being responsible.
Ella?
I'm afraid so. I went to speak with her, and she attacked me. The Garance investigators found Nightside path stuff, Church of the Midnight.
I have no idea what those are, but like behind him, you see Quercus bristle.
And Maurice inclines his head.
And Quercus just doesn't seem to be able to communicate with words or voice, but there's just a scent on the wind of something bitter and acrid and sulfuric, as though like a spore was released from her bark.
So let me look at the effects by level table. I want to speak with Quercus, and I can do that with Heart and Wind easily. Just depends what level that is.
Why don't you go ahead and I think that this is just depending on the effect level. Go ahead and spend Bene as normal. It would be if she was an unwilling participant. It would be, you'd have to roll against her, but it seems like I think she's pretty forthright about it.
Yeah, we'll say level 3 is telepathy by touch, and we'll just call that 3.
Yeah, and I think there's just this slow down moment of time as you, shake. I'm assuming you're shaking her hand. What do you do?
So I'm weaving some magic and from the feet of everybody, Tristan, Twig, and Gav, like roots, like a root system growing. And then from the bottom of Quercus, these roots kind of spectrally joining together in like a root system. So everybody can now speak and interact as if they.
Nice.
Yeah. Quercus says, "Oh, you are a weaver," and just very kind of like, again, that quiet voice as though the wind traveling through reeds and willows.
Are you concerned that we haven't uncovered everything, or?
No, I knew that Tristan was good, that he would never do such a thing, but I would never have thought Shoa's sister would be her own undoing.
I still need to find out why. I found out who, but not why.
The Church of Midnight calls out to those who are lonely those who are disaffected, those who are abandoned. Since the war, the church has become stronger. She may
Makes sense.
very well have wished a better life and made an attempt to sacrifice for that life. Cheryl was kind, Ella was quiet. I could not be say for certain why she would do such a thing.
Well, Tristan, to clear your name, we have to go back to the garret.
And Tristan kind of I suppose. I guess there's nothing left to do. Oh, buddy, I'll be okay. And he scritches Duncan behind the ears. And yeah, there's something, by the way, Twig, there's something just reassuring hearing Quercus talk. Like just puts you at ease to know that this sapling is beneficent and like has an intent, I think.
I'd like to do two things.
Mm-hmm.
First, I want to palm a Madeline to Tristan to feed Duncan. And second, I want to cast Scent of Magic.
Absolutely. So you cast Scent of Magic, and describe for our listeners and viewers what that does again.
So I think actually very similar to Gav, though slightly different. I think Twig casting magic, when they cast magic, it's a lot. It's impulse, it's natural, like it's just muscle memory reflex, and it kind of looks a lot like almost like little tics, like these repeated like physical or verbal like behaviors, like Twig tends to do this when they're about to cast Scent of Magic, and it's just kind of like it's almost like a muscle memory mnemonic, and just breathes in. And the actual text would be, for a moment, I gained the ability to sense magic by its unmistakable and unique odor. Not only can I sense the presence of active magic near me, but if I use an action to examine a specific magical effect or item, I can also identify it.
All right.
And,
yeah, go ahead.
And I'm looking for anything that is not coming from one of us, one of either me, Gav, or Mo.
Mo.
So we are going to turn a card I already have, and the card I've turned is Cat, the companion of Solitude, of Notions, Cats, Clocks, and Wind. So the meanings are solitude, curiosity, cleverness, dexterity. Cats see much, they prowl about, or simply find a good vantage point and watch and sleep. Should something really catch their eye, however, they move to investigate. Curiosity killed the cat, as the saying goes, and it's true, but cats have 9 lives, and thus they can stand a little curiosity. So that is actually going to, and I think that coincides again really well. It actually, because it's a companion card, it replicates the previous card. So in this case, the Empty Gallows, but Salvation, Favorable Judgment. Okay, so I'm gonna say that you cast Scent of Magic, and you can tell that Tristan is a Vizsla, but the only kind of magic that seems to be coming off of him is a whiff of the pale. A small bit of death magic, and the reason you kind of realize is there's a little bit of residue, as though he's been in contact with a ghost recently. And from what you heard Gavriel tell you about finding her quest, or kind of her quest giver, so to speak, you have a feeling that probably Tristan's mom has been following him around. Probably he doesn't even realize it because the residue is faint. The final thing,
It's even more heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's like Good helicopter parenting.
Yeah, and
It's Apache helicopter parenting.
yeah, and the thing that is, but the thing that it smells so strong. It smells like if magic had a scent. It smells like the most aromatic cedar. And what you realize is that Quercus is riddled with green magic. The magic of like life, vibrant life, and it makes sense. But there's also kind of like this faint smell of gray magic as well.
And gray, for those of us at home, and certainly not me, gray magic is associated with what types of effects?
Lies
And illusion magic. But it's a very faint residue, especially with the result that you got. It's you almost, if you'd rolled lower, you would not have been able to get it.
All right. So, all right. So, like, this isn't an active effect. This is a recent effect.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
At which point, yeah, I think Tristan, just very kind of solemnly and earnestly begins to accompany you. Gavriel, what's going through your head as this kind of exchange goes down?
I think the only thing that she's sort of fixating on is what the hell this Church of Midnight is doing to other Vizsla that are coming back from the war, because the idea that they're going after the lonely and the isolated, I think, is something that is like pinging around in her brain right now, but she doesn't know enough about how any of this really works to pry into it here, and she doesn't think that Quercus is going to have the answers that she's probably going to look for on her own later, and they might tie into the search for Jaren. They might. It remains to be seen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, all of this is kind of racing through your mind as you guys accompany Tristan back.
I think Maurice will say one more thing to Quercus as they leave before the magic wears off. Says, I don't know if they're going to ask much about you. I mean, you're kind of an accomplice to breaking Tristan out of jail. You might be in trouble, you might not. But I don't know, just take care of yourself, I guess. Where can I find you?
I'm always in the park, here. If you wish to find me and speak with me, Therae will always know where I am.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, as you guys make your way back to the Garrett's office, you actually do encounter a Therae at one point, at which point she kind of begrudgingly kind of nods and pats Tristan on the shoulder as Joe and a couple of young men and young women actually end up taking Tristan very gently, you notice, into custody. And Hylas sees him off, says, just put him into custody here. The waiting room's fine. We'll conclude our investigation. And one moment, I'll be right back. And Hylas leaves to kind of oversee this, basically this custodianship of Tristan. And that's when kind of Therae walks up to you, starting with Maurice. But kind of first thing she does is she looks at Twigg and says, "Oh, so you're part of this outfit, huh?"
Yeah, I drift around.
So, I owe you an apology.
Oh, for what?
I doubted your intentions. And
That's fair. I think it's right to be suspicious.
Look, I've known Tristan a few years now, and I knew that boy would never hurt a fly. Let alone the idea of a fly. But, I had to do what Hylas asked, so when he left, when Tristan broke out, I knew what his mom would have wanted. And She was a good friend of mine. She used to work in the garden. And I just tried to do right by her.
Maurice throws a glance back at Gav and says, when did Tristan's mother die?
2 years ago. But, I mean, Tristan, he always kind of bore it very well. We tried to support best we could. We made sure that he was in a place, safe place to live. I was hoping one day I'd get a chance to show him the ropes, bring him into the garden, to the park officially, work with it. And, he met Showa and he just lit up. It did so much for him. It was a whole world of good. I'd never seen him happier. And maybe one day we can help her come back from the Pale. I'm not sure. But I know that he's got a long road ahead of him. And the fact
you can still show him the ropes just like he planned. As long as this goes well. I don't know if I'm quite done here though. It's Ella. The Church of Midnight. What do you think she was trying to do?
if I had any idea about that, I'd make a lot more than I do now. But I can tell you right now, if she was about to pull a runner, I guarantee you she would have ended up at the church. But she didn't. You got her. And for that, I'm grateful, because she's going to stand trial for what she did. Hylas is tough, but he's typically fair. So she'll be in custody a long time, and she's going to have a lot of time to think about what she did. That's assuming I don't get my hands on her.
We'll let justice prevail.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, but I was thinking about it. When Tristan gets out, he's going to need to apprentice for somebody, and I've got my hands full. Twigg, how you like it here?
Pretty green. I dig it.
You want to live here? Work here?
I mean, I'm not currently doing anything.
Great.
Oh, and Maurice kind of interrupts. I mean, you don't have any long-term plans to stay here, right?
I mean, I don't really have any. There's a bunch of people trying to murder me. I don't really have any long-term plans at all.
Okay.
It's all up in the air.
Look, that's above my pay grade. I'm just saying, if you need a place to stay, I got a place to stay. You need work, I got work.
Gotcha. I'll be in touch.
Good. So, to all of you, thank you. Look, I know Hylas has been a little stingy. The Ilari rod, that really knocked me for a loop. The fact that you asked for that. That's a few hundred ducats, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but after all, I did help so much.
Uh-huh. Anyway, little something extra, okay? And she flicks a coin to you, and as you catch it in the air, you have a very familiar feel of a mage coin. All right, look, I gotta get back to work. Night shift. Anyway, anything comes up, you know where to find me. We'll talk soon. Twigg, I'm expecting you to come in at some point, right?
Gotcha.
All right.
But he wasn't kidding about the people. If someone's asking for a Twig, they probably want to kill him. So, I wouldn't say anything.
Noted.
If I were you, I appreciate it.
Look, I guarantee you, anybody goes into that park looking for trouble, it's going to be a bad time. Anyway, but you know what? You guys got a lot of stuff to do. When you're done with that, you just talk to me, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. and she turns on her heel and leaves. Where do you guys go? Actually, you know what? Before you guys answer that, I think that we are hitting 8 p.m. I think this is as good a place to end it for the night. So let's quickly do our recaps. Gavriel, how'd you feel about tonight's session?
I pulled a dope ass move. I think she's good with that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this was more about helping a friend accomplish like a task so they could get back on track to what they needed to be focusing on, and that happened. So feeling pretty good.
Excellent. Take a joy, and then also take an acumen for preventing Ella from escaping. Did any of your character arcs come to fruition here?
No.
Okay, so just one acumen for now.
Mm-hmm.
Following that, Twigg, how'd you feel about tonight?
Mixed bag. Not very many highs and not very many lows. I think I think overall probably trending towards joy though. The experience in the park, the experience with Quercus, and the offer of a home. That's a strong pull.
Yeah.
I think like a lot of good stuff on the very back end.
Yep. So take a joy and then take an acumen. Did we make take an acumen for I think really kind of like trying to suss out what's been going on in the Topiary district, at least with Tristan and what have you.
So that's +1 joy, +1 acumen.
Yeah. And did you make any progress on your character arc?
I think I may have if this drive will load. It's fighting me. I'm pretty sure one of my arcs is finding a new home.
Yeah, I'd say it sounds like you either, if you want to wait, you can either take 2 acumen for the completion of your character arc, or you can take 1 to say you're 1 step into the door.
I would say I'm definitely not complete. I think I need to have a place where I can kick my boots off before and say complete.
All right, so we won't make any character arc steps there. It's
one step. Yeah.
Take an acumen. Yeah.
God, why is this so slow? You're a Google Doc sheet. Behave yourself.
While we're waiting for that to load, Kyrrie, how'd you feel about tonight?
Well, in complete contrast to Twigg, I think Kyrrie has come home to her home, university, and so there's some comfort in that. And it's been a lot of highs and a lot of lows this episode, where Kyrrie's been promoted to Velator, which is a huge amount of joy for her. But at the same time, as ever, I feel like a lot of that joy kind of turned to ice when it was brought down by the reality of the conversation with her sister. There's a lot of ominous notes that are kind of circulating around Kyrrie at the moment. There's the mirror virus. There's now what appears to be a power grab by her sister with a promotion within the Court of Nois, which has a lot of crazy, weird potential around it. And there's, now both notes of caution from Alinea and the Supreme Magus herself, or themselves, in terms of saying, watch where you step really carefully. And so it's this interesting balance where she should be at a completely like open moment of high joy and celebrating, but it's tempered a little bit by some of these overarching concerns that have ominous outlooks for her future.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, would you say that the joy of advancing superseded that, or do you feel like the worry is starting to take root?
I think probably just because of like the significance of the event, the joy probably supersedes, but it is a closer call between them than it would otherwise be.
Absolutely. So take 1 joy, take an acumen. Did you make any advancements in your character arc?
an advancement, not a completion. I guess you could kind of call, well, it hasn't happened yet maybe, but the work towards trying to develop a spell to communicate with Zaleska's grimoire without having to cast, the same spell every time, that would move towards like protecting the grimoire better. But yeah, that's sort of an advancement on the horizon as opposed to something that happened specifically this episode.
Okay. Well, in that case, what we can do is mark that down. We'll take a look at opening a new character arc for you. So in the meantime, take 1 acumen for also the amazing job you did on your academic work today. So that was a lot of fun. Finally, so 1 joy, 1 acumen, and finally, Maurice, how'd you feel about tonight?
Maurice felt real good. Got to solve this mystery, which we'll talk about, I guess, in a sec. But apart from that, feeling more connected to himself, the forte magic that he was using reflexively and instinctively today felt good. Felt like he was becoming more a part of himself, and his instinct to run was displaced by Twigg's really good rolls and talking won the day over, and this is kind of reinforcing for him how powerful it can be to just tell the truth and lay all the cards on the table and count on the goodness of other people.
Excellent. So take 1 joy and then 1 acumen for all of your work, basically reacclimating to the power of your forte as well as your weaving magic. Is there any progress that you made on your character arc?
So it says at the climax, +2 acumen and a joy or despair, depending on how it goes. And then the resolution, +2 acumen, must confront the people involved. So I don't think I've confronted Ella yet.
Not yet.
So but definitely the climax.
Actually, perfect. So give yourself 2 acumen for the climax, +1 joy for the outcome. And then, so you should get 2 joy and 3 acumen for that. So, and that concludes character recaps for everybody. We are at the end. So, does anybody have any plugs? Anybody want to? Oh, we have a bunch of plugs, actually. So, yeah, this is going to be great. One of which, I believe 2 of our resident apostates are returning to school this week. You guys go ahead. What do you got?
Yeah, tune in Tuesday at 8:00 EST for the School of Evil and Good. It is a Monster Hearts game that is based on the YA book series, The School for Good and Evil. It'll be our 3rd session. It is an absolute joy and a blast to be playing and being in. Y'all should come and hang out in the chat with us.
Excellent.
Oh, yeah. It's gloriously
So much fun.
awkward and angsty and just
Now's a good time because nobody has romanced anybody yet, so you never know.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time.
It's coming.
I was gonna say, it's glorious. I love watching everybody play Monster Hearts. It's great. Also, Marissa, I believe at some point you're going to actually be doing a happy hour one shot or flight for us at some point. That would be really fun.
Yep, that'll be May 15th. It's going to be like a session 0, and then the actual flight will kick off in June after your masks, I believe. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Flight. So some good happy hour content that's going to be coming to you.
Yep. And basically, for everybody who doesn't know, we just started a new series on Manapot Studios. We are called Manapot Happy Hour. We're playing every Friday night from 8 to about 11:30. We kicked off with a D&D dungeon crawl or kind of one shot last week, which was glorious and lots of fun.
I wasn't even playing, and I have to get a tattoo.
Yeah, no. Everyone was drinking so much; it was delightful.
Yeah, what was it? Somehow still good at D&D when drunk. Who knew? So that was a lot of fun. This coming week, we are starting a flight on Manapot happy hour of Vampire. So break out your red wine. It's going to be great. I am playing a really weird kind of Nosferatu character named Declan. It's going to be great.
Hell yeah.
We also have on next Sunday, it's going to be The Exiled, our persistent D&D campaign, and we have the Tales from the Pack Worlds on Saturday evening. We have tons of great stuff. We're now affiliates, so if you guys ever want to toss us a sub or do anything to show your support, grab bits, what have you, know that you're supporting all of us, and also supporting us being able to make our shows that much better and more entertaining for you. So don't feel obligated, but if you want to show your support, that's no better way than to help us out. In the meanwhile, Bill, do you have anything you want to plug?
No plugs.
No plugs.
I have one more. I'll take another one.
Yeah, do it. Take my plug.
So I have been a part of a really cool D&D supplement called the Princess Project. For the past couple of months, I've been doing editorial work on that, and it's officially publishing in May. So it's going to be nine adventures, 19 magic items, 10 spells, and a wild magic and trinkets table.
Holy shit.
Filled with magic and fairy tale whimsy, and it's all about basically adventures that tell the stories of strong princesses that like overturn traditional tropes to like retell those stories. So for D&D tables, it's super great. Everyone involved in the project is rad. I can tell you, having read all of the adventures now, they're phenomenal. Please check it out when it releases in May.
I am first in line for that. That's going to be awesome. I love that. Yeah, so check that out. Just a couple things. Our music is by Kai Engel, who's a great Creative Commons creator. Pulled that, and that's been fantastic. The inset art that we showed you is taken directly from Monty Cook Games. Great, glorious piece of art showing kind of like City Street and Indigo. And then finally, Ned at Encounter Party was one of our players this past weekend. So if you can, give Encounter Party a listen. It's a fantastic show set in Ravnica, D&D 5e. And finally, everybody just know that we want you all to be safe. We all want you to get through this quarantine, these tough times together. We're going to be here to entertain you and help you out the best that we are able to. Happy Easter, happy belated Passover, and may the invisible sun shine on you all. Have a great night.